Green flag is in the air. We are racing.
3 by 3.
Almost no trouble. Around goes Alex Hill. Hard into the outside wall goes Hill. They're wrecking big time out back. We're not going to throw a caution. To the finish. Who gets it in the line? Cody Nagels wins it in Talladega.
Hello everybody and welcome into PGR eSports live tonight from the high banks of Talladega Superspeedway. Joining me in the booth tonight, Landon Veliky, normally a driver in the series, but decided he wanted to take his hand at commentating. Landon, how you feeling here tonight?
I'm excited. Really looking forward to see how this heat format's going to work. It's something new, especially recently. It's going to be really interesting to see how it turns out.
It certainly is. Well, as we get ready for the heat, let's talk a little bit about how we got to this point and then what to expect. We did have qualifying, but the way the field's going to be set here tonight is the top 30 drivers from qualifying already advanced straight into the feature. The rest of them are going to have to battle it out for a chance to make it to the feature. Only 10 will advance from this heat race that we're getting ready to get started with now. So taking a look at the qualifying order here for the heat race, Karl Matz in the 82 machine sets the pole for the heat with a 52.433. Jeff Merck will roll off to his outside in second. Parker Retzlaff, that is one of the real-life NASCAR Xfinity Series drivers. He will roll off third here tonight, with Tucker McClendon for Blind Squirrel Racing to his outside in fourth. Moving on back to row number 3, it's Aaron Ramon and Jonathan Herbert in 6th. Noah Rainwater back in 7th. Brian Hennings in 8th. Benjamin Elliott in 9th. And Tyler Vickery for PGR eSports rounding out your top 10.
Starting 11th tonight, we got Sean Futrell in the 39 car. Terry Wilson will be 12th. Austin Floyd in 13th, and then James Waring in 14th for the seat.
Moving on back to 16th here tonight, James Waring, yep. Moving on back to the 17th spot, though, and actually that'll round out the field, so good call on that. But trying to see here, I know we're in the Gen 6 cars tonight, but overall, I mean, 16 cars for a heat race, that's going to still be pretty stacked. I mean, we're going to have a lot of guys fighting early. It's only 15 laps. And in fact, if we show you the race info here, 15 laps is going to be the heat distance, 55 laps will be the feature distance. 75% fuel in both of them. Unlimited tire sets. We did get a correction that there's actually no fast repair in either the heat or the feature, so drivers still going to have to be careful here. Fixed setups, 3 green-white checkers, and then 85 degrees outside, 46% humidity, partly cloudy skies, and winds at 0 miles per hour. Looking at Talladega Superspeedway, 2.65 miles in length, almost 130 degrees is going to be the starting track temp here tonight. And it is going to be a good one again. For any of you that were tuning in last week, Dawson, of course, did have us covered. I was getting a couple of PC issues sorted out, so let me know how everything looks here tonight. Hopefully we've got it fixed, and hopefully we are good to go from here on out. All right, pace car making its way out of turn 4. Merck and Parker Retzlaff going to lead him to green here, as it looked like one of the cars that we did have on the pole initially, Karl Matz, did not make the start, so he's going to have his hands full here, and he's going to have to get on track soon. We're getting ready to find out who's going to advance. Again, it'll be the top 10 that make it to the feature, and the other 6 are going to be heading home. All right, here we go. Working into the trial field now in the hands of Parker Retzlaff and Jeff Merck as they work into the Geico restart zone for the first time here tonight. Green flag is in the air. We're underway at Talladega. Lap 1 is complete, and it goes to the 8 of Parker Retzlaff leading that bottom line. The 36 trying to do some pushing. That's Aaron Ramon. Now remember, these Gen 6 cars, the name of the game is trying to tandem with whoever you can work best with. Jeff Merck in the 60, he wants to make a move, but he's got nowhere to go. He's still going to look high either way. Tucker McClendon trying to get a run up top. He's got some help from the 87 of Jonathan Herbert.
Going in 3 here, a little 2x2 action, a little bit of gap between Merck and McClendon in the back. They're trying to sort that out. See if they can make a run at Retzlaff here. It's really cool having him in the field tonight. Didn't think we'd ever race with a true Xfinity Series driver, but that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it certainly is, and you really wonder how the experience is going to work with the rest of these guys. You know, a lot of these drivers are used to being in the money racing scene. Parker, of course, has a lot of experience in the real-life Xfinity Series, so who's he going to find as his tandem partner? That'll be the question here in this heat. And then the other question going to be who can advance to the feature here tonight. 15 laps and already 2 of them complete, just 13 to go. As they rocket their way off at turn number 2, the 8 still leads the bottom, but the top starting to show some organization again here. Jonathan Herbert's getting that third line working with a push from the 47. We'll see if they can ride this wave all the way to the front. Jeff Merck in the middle. He is starting to fade back. He's going to get caught by the 34, Tucker McClendon, but they have lost all their momentum.
Herbert leading the outside. Now he's up to the 3rd car on the bottom. They're a little organized, way more organized than the bottom is right now. They'll be making that run here shortly up to the lead.
And it'll be 12 laps to go as they cross the line. This time, Parker still continues to lead. Jonathan Herbert, though, look at this. First time we're going to see that outside line get even with the leader here tonight. And if Herbert can get clear here, you got to think he's going to take it. I know that 47 car of Matthew Baker has got to be getting really, really hot by now. The 124 of Tyler Vickery, he has now made his way up there in the 3rd spot on the outside, and there you go. The 87 will drop low. The 47 is going to pick up his teammate in Jeff Merck, and unfortunately, that's going to leave Tyler Vickery all by himself in the middle. Almost some contact there with the 168. That was a little bit of argy-bargy there between Austin Floyd and Tyler Vickery, but they get it sorted out as they climb the banking in 3 and 4.
Baker taking the lead, being pushed by Merck. They work really well together. There's no surprise there. Herbert 3rd. We got Parker filing back in on the bottom at 4th. It's a little bit of action in the back, but they keep trying to, make something happen, and then it seems a single file back out. It's really interesting how these cars work.
I'll tell you what else is interesting here. I'm sitting looking at the scoring, and James Waring had some sort of issue here. I'm not sure if that was the car that we saw initially get into the wall off the start or what, but the 36 has now fallen off the lead lap, and if we don't get a caution, he is going to be in trouble here. But what that does do is puts us down to, of course, 13 cars on the lead lap, 10 advance, so only 3 of these drivers are not going to make it to the feature. That certainly helps your chances if, well, you're anybody in this field, but at the same time, you want to stay near the front because we know anything can happen, Landon, and it only takes one big wreck, especially when you don't have a fast repair to bring your night to an end.
And especially the way the Baker and Merck right now keep swapping lanes. They're getting really dicey up here. It's kind of interesting to see that out of 2 teammates, I'll call them. I know they work together sometimes, not all the time, but they're really mixing it up here in front of the field. 36 looking to take the lead on the bottom.
I'm still keeping an eye on this 8 machine of Parker Retzlaff as we hop on board with him now. And, oh, man, you saw he tried to give a big push right there to the 36 of Ramon. And right as he kind of hit him, it looked like that car shot up the racetrack. So that was certainly an interesting look. And now he'll jump high. He's going to make a move, and he'll dive back low. He was had none of the move from the 36. Now he'll look for a little bit of a side draft off into turn 3. And he's able to get it. Unfortunately, what he's not able to get is any help. He's looking for a push. He's going to get one now from, looks like, the 05, but they're going to need a little bit more than just that to get back to the front. Noah Rainwater, he is actually down a position from where he started this race at, qualified 7th. And right now he sits back in 8th. They're going to file up top here as they cross the line. It'll be 9 to go. And Jeff Merck leads the way at Talladega.
Herbert's taking a look to the bottom. No help down there. Looking like they just want to single file out, ride it out for a little bit. Not sure if they have to pit during this or not. If they do, it could be for that. But just being calm right now, they might have seen a couple of those cars drop out. Don't want any part of that. They just want to be safe, make it to the end.
That's a good point to bring up because it is 75% fuel. They should be good to go for this heat, though. 15 laps in these cars should be able to make it on that 75% mark. Now, for the feature, we are certainly going to see at least 1 stop. Not sure if we'll quite see 2. We'll get to that when we get there. But right now, this single file train, I mean, if there was any fuel questions, they're going to be answered right here. You, of course, can save a lot of fuel when you're on single file here at Talladega, but I don't think this is going to last too long. 8 laps to go, and once we get to, I'd say, the last handful of laps or so, you got to start making moves to get to the front. because that's when people start, closing the door a little bit sooner, making those moves a little bit later, and that's when you kind of see the probability of a wreck go up. And if you're anybody near the front here, you don't want to be in any part of that. All you got to do is finish in the top 10. So everybody in front right now, Futrell, who sits back in 10th, up, they're good to go. But if you're in 11th like Austin Floyd, 12th like Elliott, and then 13th where Wilson currently stands right now, you're going to have to get moving here pretty soon. And look at this, Landon. They're starting to actually fall off the draft here. Terry Wilson and Benjamin Elliott, that is.
Yeah, they are. Top 9 are pretty guaranteed right now, so long as there aren't any cautions. They are falling off the pack. Hopefully they get back up there. They're going to pick up a draft from those cars that are behind them. Maybe they can work together, see if they can push really hard, really well. Might have to take the bottom in these corners, take the shorter route around the track. We got one dropping out right here. Retzloff going to the bottom.
Yeah, trying to get that line going. He's putting that experience to good use right now, and he's going to get some help here again from the 05 and Noah Rainwater. It seems like these two are starting to get a little bit of chemistry going. And again, I said earlier you need more help than just 2 cars, but I don't know if that's necessarily the case, because we know how important the tandem is in these Gen 6 cars, and if you can get locked onto the bumper of that car in front of you, if you can push that car through the corners and down the straights, you're going to make a lot of time, especially versus the cars that aren't locked together, as we see happening with a lot of the top lane. But man, that duo of Baker and Merck, they are really, really tough to catch right now as they continue to lead up top.
They're making a little bit of headway, though. Parker's going to slot in line in front of McClendon. They're going to leave Rainwater out to dry a little bit. But that showed a little progress that only 2 cars made versus 7 riding the top. So hopefully, if they can get, a couple more cars want to try and make a pass in advance, they should be able to, just based off of what Parker and Noah just did.
Yeah, they're going to have to figure it out pretty soon, too. And another thing that we see, at least I would say with the Xfinity cars at some of the super speedways in real life, is you're kind of able to pick off one driver at a time, especially when it becomes single file. Get a side draft, drop all the way to the bottom, and then slide up. But you just can't really do that in these cars unless you have some help. So looked like Parker maybe gave that a shot a couple times, nothing doing. But here we go. Now the 87 of Jonathan Herbert. He's going to take a peek out of line. Oh, one in the wall. That's Tucker McClendon. Looks like he's going to be able to drive off of it without any damage, but man, that was a big moment for the 34 and the rest of the field on back.
Now they're going to have to get organized, make sure they don't lose this pack. They shouldn't have any trouble losing this pack, but still got Parker down there stuck on the bottom. He's going to try and file in line. Rainwater really gained the most out of that whole ordeal. He's up to 5th now.
We're going to be coming to 4 laps to go next time. It is crunch time. You got to figure out when you're going to go and who you're going to work with. If you're Tyler Vickery, I don't think you make a move here. I mean, I know there's a little bit of money on the line to win the heat. I believe it was somewhere around $35, but at the end of the day, if you're wanting to fight for the big money, you got to make it to that point. So just stay in line. Again, as it's shaping up right now, everybody in this lead group, they're locked in. They're good to go all the way back to Parker Retzloff, because Sean Futrell, the 10th driver to be locked in, he has lost touch with the lead pack. So the race between him and Austin Floyd for that last transfer position, it's not going to have any effect on the rest of these leaders. So you got to kind of make that decision now, but at the same time, you're a guy like Parker Retzloff, you want to go to the front. If you're a guy just in front of Parker Retzloff, he's wanting to go to the front. So say Brian Hennings, Tucker McClendon, I think maybe you think about making a move. It's going to be a lot of decisions and not a lot of time to make them, but I think everybody's going to wait till the white flag to do it.
They might, but they definitely have time, as we see Parker try and make a move again on the bottom. They have time to kind of dice it up now. There's highly doubtful that the 2 in the back, they're probably not going to catch. There's a lap car going to dice this up a little bit as well. They all move to the bottom. Yeah, they're still being calm right now.
Yeah, for now they are, and that is the lap that we talked about earlier of James Waring. Had an issue on the first lap, and he's in the wall again right there in that Gatorade 13 Ford Mustang, so that's a tough break for him, but doesn't look like we're going to get a caution here as we're going to be closing in on 2 laps to go. Now, we do have to make it to the white flag before this heat will be official, but so far things have been pretty clean, and Baker continues to get a little bit more daring with the pushes to his teammate, and I don't think he'll set up a pass, Landon, but it's good to get that practice, because they're going to need that in the main feature when there's a lot more pushing and shoving. And I don't know, though. Look at this. The 47 sitting back a little bit. You think he tries to make a run at his teammate here at the end?
It is Matthew Baker. He's probably going to try and make a run. He's very aggressive, very good at what he does. It would surprise me, being that it is his teammate, but you're right. He's backing up to Vickery right there. They're really trying to make something happen.
They certainly are. Well, they're going to have 2 laps and just over 5 miles to get it figured out. 2 laps to go here in heat number 1. Jeff Mert continues to lead the way. Matthew Baker in second, Tyler Vickery in third. That's 3 Chevys. Couple more round out the top 5, but keep an eye further back for cars like Jonathan Herbert, the 05 of Noah Rainwater, and the 8 of Parker Retzlaff. Waiting for one of these drivers to make a move. The big question is just who is it going to be first? They remain single file down the back straightaway as they climb the banking in 3.
Just still being calm. Everyone's going to be trying to set up, especially watch Parker Retzlaff in the back. He's been trying to make a move on the bottom the whole time. He's definitely going to try and set something up here. Who knows? He'll have some help with him, I'm sure, especially the cars out back. Tucker McClendon as well. Going to be a fun last lap right here.
Certainly is. All right, here we go. White flag is in the air. And heat number 1 at Talladega, Jeff Mert continues to lead. The 47 of Matthew Baker still in second. No move yet, at least not through your top 5. Actually, looks like it is going to be the 8, though, of Parker Retzlaff. He will indeed be the first car to drop down. Brian Hennings will follow. Here comes the cavalry. Tyler Vickery is going to jump down. The rest of the field's going to follow. Drag race down the backstretch as they head to turn number 3.
3 wide. Going 3 wide right here. Trying to see who's leading the lines. Merck and Vickery on the bottom. Retzlaff, just as we thought he was going to make that move. It's up to 3rd, 4th. He's going to have a run. Oh, he turns Vickery. He turns Vickery off his nose. Vickery's back up the track. Merck's probably going to run away with this one.
Here we go. Final gas into the tri-oval. Who's it going to be? Merck on the bottom, still leading his teammate. They are all disorganized out back. They'll drag race to the finish. Matthew Baker's going to steal it. What a finish.
Yeah, we knew he would. We knew he would. It's Matt Baker. He was going to make that move, and he did. Got that little bonus, too, for winning the heat, too. That'll be good for him.
Yeah, boy, he timed that move perfect. I didn't think he had even nearly enough time when he jumped out of line, but the big spoilers on these cars, the side draft is very, very effective. And, man, Matthew Baker, he could not have timed that any better than he did, and he's coming home at least a winner of one of these races tonight. Now he's going to go see if he can do it again and maybe win a little bit more money.
Yeah, well, he's definitely going to have a shot. He's going to be coming from the back. He's going to be starting in 31st, it looks like. But watch out for him to be up there within the first 10 laps for sure. He knows how to make his way through a field. Him and Jeff Mert going to be with him. And Parker Retzlaff. I mean, I don't want to keep harping on him, but he was making all those moves right there. He is an Xfinity Series driver after all. He knows what he's doing. Those 3, it's going to be very, very fun to watch them work their way through the field.
Yeah, and things are getting ready to get crazy here as we prepare ourselves for the main event here tonight. I was trying to check to see. Yep, sure enough, these drivers will get a brief warm-up. You see the clock there, 4 minutes and 12 seconds and counting down until we will get the grid going for your feature. So, while we have some time here, I want to see if we can actually pull up the finishing results, but I wish we could have went back and took a look at that finish because that was certainly a good one. But nonetheless here, we will certainly pull up, hopefully, results. See if we get a chance to do that from the heat. Yes, we will. And so taking a look at the final results there from the heat, again, Matthew Baker was your winner. And look at this, by 2.5 hundredths of a second. So that was, I'd say, a photo finish worthy at the end there for Matthew Baker, and his teammate Jeff Merck makes it a 1-2 for NBG. Noah Rainwater rounds out the podium in 3rd. Brian Hennings back in 4th. Parker Retzlaff ended up finishing inside the top 5. Aaron Ramon in 6th. Tyler Vickery for PGR. You saw him try to make the move. Didn't quite work out as he got a little bit of a nudge in 3 and 4, but still finishes inside the top 10 in 7th. Jonathan Herbert back in 8th, Tucker McClendon 9th, and Sean Futrell is the last car to transfer. He finishes in 10th. Austin B. Floyd, Benjamin Elliott, Terry Wilson, and James Waring, they all do not advance to the feature. Carl Matz, Landon Velicki, those 2 drivers were not in the heat itself. So now that we know the drivers that were able to make it through, we start to turn our attention to some of the names that are going to be in this main event. And I mean, the list goes on and on here, but just a couple that catch your eye right off the bat. How about Kevin Freese making a return here tonight? He's going to be dangerous. Kyler Wynn, he was off. I don't remember if he got a suspension last week or if it was just probation, but either way, he's coming back from a little bit of controversy. But man, oh man, some big names. You got a couple Coke Series drivers in here. We talked about Parker Retzlaff already. The Jack Shack, they're looking to make some noise here tonight. Trevor Ozranoff, he's won in this car before. A lot of names. Who you got your eye on, Landon?
Definitely got my eye on Kyler. As sometimes he makes some questionable moves on the track, but he definitely knows what he's doing. He's going to be up front. He's always up front in these PGR events. And honestly, Michael Triscaro, he's someone that has never won a PGR race. He's the founding father of PGR, and he knows what he's doing too, and it would be absolutely awesome to see him get a win tonight.
Yeah, it certainly would. And don't forget, though, with the way these cars race, it's a little different than when we see these guys in the Xfinity cars or even sometimes the trucks. you have got to be super aggressive. When you're in the Gen 6 or you're in the next gens, they race the same way. You've got to constantly be pushing, constantly looking for a tandem if you want to try to work your way to the front. Now, what I did think was a little interesting, Landon, is that we actually saw some single file racing there in that heat. It wasn't that many laps to begin with, but we had a span there of about 6 or 7 laps before we got to the white flag where everybody was single file, kind of trying to time things up. And I mean, overall, it seemed like it worked out pretty well for that big run on the last lap, but things just didn't quite materialize at the end.
No, they didn't. And to be honest, in this feature event that we're about to have, we're probably going to see it single file out and get spread out a little bit, especially if there are green flag pit stops. Those are the biggest issues with these cars in these races. Every time there's green flag pit stops, it just separates the field because they are pretty different compared to what we're used to. It'll be calm. Well, I say it'll be calm. It's probably going to be a little aggressive at first. We got a lot of good guys coming up from the back, but then it'll probably calm out a little bit. We'll see that single file that we saw in the heat, and who knows what we'll see at the end. It's going to be a fun one.
And you talked about the aggression at first. It seems like everybody always likes to kind of get a feel of what to maybe expect at the end. A lot of drivers are trying to get the jitters out. They've been excited to race all day, and so, you know, I think that's one of the moments that's kind of hold your breath is the start of the race, but also anytime that we have a green flag pit stop, things always get antsy there. You've got drivers that are trying to make time, drivers that are trying to get in conservative, and you know, everybody thinks it's easy to make a pit stop when you're going in a straight line to slow down, but when you're trying to slow down from 200 miles an hour to, 60 miles an hour in the length of maybe just a football field, it's not that easy to do.
It's definitely not, and the runs that these cars have, like just in general, are insane and kind of hard to handle. And when you're going into the pits, just with that run still in the draft, you're going faster than you normally do as it is, and that's what'll throw people off in this race, trying to come into the pits.
Certainly will. We'll be excited to see it, but it looks like the white flag is out, so that means that the warm-up has been concluded, and we are getting ready to head into, well, not qualifying because we already got that complete. This will actually be drivers gridding up for the feature event. We completed the heat. Remember, those drivers will start in the back of the feature, and so the order you see here will be based off of the top 30 in qualifying. We'll make up your top 30, and then 31st through 40th will be the drivers that qualified in via the heat. So as everybody starts to make their way on track, let's take a look at tonight's featured starting grid. Kevin Freese talked about him making his return. Boy, he picked up right where he left off, didn't he? Starts on the pole, puts down a 52.2. On his outside for the Jack Shack, it's going to be Trevor Osranoth. Kyler Wynn, he will start back in that third position. Moving on back to fourth, it's going to be Nashburn Billa in fourth. Dylan Jones in fifth, Mark Von Dell in sixth. And you got the Coke Series driver of Malik Ray back in seventh, Michael Triscaro in eighth. John Ward, the captain for Hyper Motorsports, in ninth. And Justin Mills for BAR rounds out your top 10.
Got Kenny McCullough starting 11th, the king of McCullough Motorsports. We got Matt Lee for Nightmare in 12th. Ethan Eckert, the PGR prodigy, starting 13th. Chris Walker for the Jack Shack, 14th. David Sheets for McCullough Motorsports will be 15th. Mike Davenport for PGR will be 16th. Brock Westmoreland for PGR will be 17th. Mike George will be 18th. Francisco Villarreal will be 19th. And Larry McDonald will be 20th.
Back in row 11, it's going to be Matthew Stallnecht and Freddie Bosnes. Ryan Baste. The Jack Shack will start in 23rd. Steve Sizemore back in 24th. J.R. Miller rounds out your top 25. Joshua McCullough back in 26th. Then you've got Joe Herda, another one of the Jack Shack drivers. He will start back in 27th here tonight. Stephen Scott Jr. 28th. Sam King in 29th. And rounding out the drivers that qualified in without having to go to the heat, it's Brandon Matz in 30th. Matthew Baker will start 31st. Jeff Merck in 32nd.
Got Noah Rainwater in 33rd, Brian Hennings 34th, Parker Retzloff 35th, Aaron Ramon 36th, Tyler Vickery for PGR 37th, Jonathan Herbert, the new Hyper driver, will be 38th, Tucker McClendon for Blind Squirrel Racing will be 39th, and Sean Futrell will round out the field in 40th place.
And then the rest of the drivers, of course, are the ones that did not actually qualify in, so they will not make the race here tonight. But, you know, I know we brought up the race info, but we'll look at it again, and the thing that I want to kind of catch your eye, if you will, is that track temp, because that really dictates the way the racing is going to be. did drop down a little bit from what we saw in the heat. We'll see if it stays that way throughout the race, but just under 120 degrees for this 2.65-mile super speedway. Over 30 degrees of banking in the corners and a lot of pushing and shoving. That's the name of the game here at Talladega. We are on the Gen 6 cars. Again, this feature is going to be 55 laps at 75% fuel. Unlimited tires, but again, the correction pre-race was that there are no fast repairs here tonight, so you're going to have to keep the car clean and be careful, especially early on when things are aggressive. Fixed setups, 3 green-white checkers, 84 degrees outside, 49% humidity, partly cloudy skies, and winds are at a mile an hour. They will not be a factor. Well, real quick before we go green here, Landon, I got a question for you as a driver. We saw Ethan Eckert. You mentioned him being a prodigy. If you get that win, do guys not want to help you as much?
It depends on who it is. I will say, like, Ethan, it's no secret that he's rattled some cages since he started money racing. And the thing is with him, he's super, super, super talented. He knows what he's doing. It's probably for the best for him to kind of hone it in a little bit. Just focus on what's important, and try not to make so many crazy moves on the track. Especially when he won PGR last night. Because there are a lot of people like Kenneth McCullough, Michael Triscaro, that have never won PGR races, and then we have Ethan Eckert come in and win. It can be polarizing to some of the drivers, and you would hope none of them would think badly of him because of that. It's because they shouldn't. He is a fantastic driver. I don't know. We'll see tonight if anyone has any reservations about him winning last week.
I think I was kind of interested in, you think of maybe a lot of drivers, let's say they're in a position where they're the lead pusher coming to the flag, and you got a guy in front of you that's never won. You want to see him win, so you push him. But then, almost after they get that first win, everybody has that kind of marked down somewhere. They know who's got the win, and, maybe from then on that point, they say, okay, you've got to win. There's no point in me pushing you. I'm going to try to beat you here. So, as you said, we'll have to see. It's going to be interesting to find out for sure. But looking at your top 5 here, we've got a little bit of interesting setup for manufacturers. Looks like Kyler wins in a Toyota. We got a Mustang on his outside, but it is 2 Chevys lining up the front row. They did have an extra parade lap, but it looks like we are going to go green flag racing this time. And we talked about 75% fuel. In these cars, if I had to guess, it might be somewhere, I would think on 100%, they'd make somewhere near the next gens, maybe right around 40 laps. Landon, you got any idea?
It's something around there. I remember that from our past races. If they changed anything, I'm not sure. But I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, and I mean, you figure, let's just say for now that it's 40 laps on 100% fuel. You take half of that, that gives you 20 right in between, maybe about 30 laps. We'll say give or take 5 laps for now is the general window. So it'll be interesting to see if they can make this on a one-stop or not. And of course, if we get any cautions, that certainly affects the way strategy plays out as well. But here we go. It's the thing that all the drivers and all the fans have been waiting for. It is time to go racing in the feature event here tonight. As the pace car pulls off, field is in the hands of Kevin Freeze and Trevor Osranoff into the Geico restart zone. Green flag is in the air. We're underway at Talladega. As they cross the line, lap 1 is going to go to the 5 of Kevin Freeze. Kyler Wynn really aggressive on the pushing right now, and I would say just between that first lap, Landon, we already saw way more pushing than we saw the entirety of the heat race. Dylan Jones, Devin Ray on the bottom. They're trying to get clear, and if they do, question is, are they going to jump to the top? I don't see a move yet, and actually, I said Devin Ray, but I think that's a different paint scheme running in that 2, so I apologize. That's actually Malik Ray. I'm used to seeing Devin in the 2, but he's not racing tonight, so that's Malik pushing on the back bumper of Jones as they work through 3 and 4.
Yeah, we got a little 3 wide starting up in the middle. I can't tell who that is. That might be Ethan Eckert starting in the middle of the lane. We got Matt Lee, Justin Mills hopping up in front of that. No shortage of aggression to start this race, that's for sure. Not at all what we were seeing in the heat race. We got Kyler pushing third in line on the top. Dylan Jones cleared for the lead. We got Malik leading the bottom now, being pushed by John Ward. Hopefully they hold it all together.
Yeah, not what we saw in the heat, but, I mean, what we talked about kind of pre-race here, what we expected for this feature. A lot of aggression early as everybody's still getting a feel, but, man, these stack-ups, they're starting to get a lot bigger here each and every lap. You see as Kyler tries to kind of push the 5, he backs off, and when he backs off, that's when that stack-up really occurs. But then Kevin's able to get locked on to Dylan Jones, and they actually create a little bit of a gap down the backstretch. That prevents the inside from getting any momentum. But the 7 of Nashville, boy, he has been aggressive right out of the gate here tonight, and it's working out pretty well. And now he's going to get a push from the PGR SummerSlam winner of Malik Ray.
You know, you mentioned these checkups. That's another thing with these cars. The checkups in these cars are enormous. You're almost like hitting the wall checking up because the aerodynamics and just how fast you're going in general. It's kind of spread out right now, just looking at the lines, that, you know, looking middle of the field at least. The 3 wides kind of died down. We're back to 2x2s. One couple cars 3 wide in the back, but maybe they saw some pushing, some checkups that they didn't like, and decided to try and calm down a little bit.
Whoa, and we had a big moment here in the middle of the pack, right around Matthew Stallneck in the 41. Actually, I think it was a couple spots back there. Steven Scott Jr. and a couple others. There was a big moment. One car got shot down to the middle, and that was almost our first big wreck of the night. That happened also just in front of Parker Retzlaff and a lot of the other drivers who were able to qualify in via the heat. Boy, I bet that made a couple hard to skip a beat there. Ethan Eckert, last week's winner, he's back here as well right now. So is the 74 of Brian Hennings. And so I kind of wonder, Landon, you know, from your perspective as a driver, when you see something...
We're wrecking. We got one sideways.
Up front, do they all keep it together? I saw one go in the grass.
I think they saved it. They held that.
Wow, what a save up front. Still couldn't find the exact car that had the trouble here. See if we can figure it out. But
wrecking again. Mark Vondell just got turned on the backstretch.
And this one is going to bring out the caution. Oh, big hit. The 59, and that's the 4 of Justin Mills that hits him. As the 168 of Austin Floyd's going to sneak through. Looks like the rest of the field's also going to get through relatively unscathed. Boy, first caution of the night, and we thought we had it back in turn 1, Landon, but instead, it didn't happen until the backstretch. And boy, Mark Vondell, this thing's crab walking. He is tore up, and fortunately, that's going to be a night ender for the McCullough Motorsports driver.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. Vondi's one of the whole money league, anyone involved in money racing. He's one of everyone's like favorite person. He's so nice, he's a good driver too, and it'd be so cool to see him, you know, perform really well, get a good result in this race. It's unfortunate that happened to him. That was a big wreck right there. We got one car up on the side, it looked like.
Yeah, that was the 4 of Justin Mills as we're looking at it via replay right now. You saw the 59 initially, first car to get sideways here, and I think it's going to be just a push gone wrong here as they were working their way down the Alabama gang back straightaway. Watch the 59 here, and we're going to go to an aerial shot of this and play it slow. So there's going to be a big run coming out back here from the 55 of Mike Davenport, and I wasn't sure if maybe he got some help, but let's see if that's where the first contact is. No, it's not. Didn't catch that from the initial view, but that's actually Parker Retzlaff and Matthew Stallneck that get together, and the 41 gets turned down into Vondell. And so notice what happens here. Again, we'll zoom this out. Watch the 8 of Parker Retzlaff. There's going to be a stack up in the middle here that starts with a little bit of an offset push between Matt Lee and Nash Brabilla. They realize it's a little offset. Lee has to check up. Stallneck has to do the same. Retzlaff not quite able to check up in time, and if he's centered, maybe they get away with it, but he's a little bit offset. So when he runs into the back of the 41, it turns him down the track into Vondell. And then the 59, he's going to go for a spin here. Initially, it's, I don't want to say light contact, but it's something that maybe he gets away with. But there's the onrushing 4 of Justin Mills, who had nowhere to go, and that was the car that you saw get up on its side. And then, man, Tucker McClendon, he piles in there with nowhere to go, as did Michael Triscaro in the 38. Good wrench machine. I mean, that's 3 or 4 really big names out pretty early here.
Yeah, I mean, but it's what we expected, right? We knew with a bigger field than what we saw in the heat, with these cars and everything, all the people trying to come up from the back, all the great drivers that started in the back trying to make their way through the field, we knew this was going to happen at some point. It wouldn't surprise me to see, like once we get back going green here, it wouldn't surprise me at all to see it kind of calm down a little bit. If people are going to see that, it's like, okay, we had an early crash. We don't want that to happen to us. Let's just ride around for a little bit, make sure nothing crazy happens, get through some pit stops, and ride it out.
Well, I'll tell you what, looking at replay there on the onboard for Justin Mills, it looked like he initially was going to be able to avoid it, but then he realized he had a car just below him, so he was kind of trying to thread the needle, if you will, but just not quite enough room. And man, that's a really tough break. It looks like I said, it's definitely going to be a 9-ender for the 59 in terms of any race competitiveness, but we'll see who's able to at least get back out on track. I think Mills might have been able to continue. Now for Tucker McClendon, he took pretty heavy damage as well. We'll see just how bad it was for the 34. And then Michael Triscaro took some front nose contact before he spun around. As we get one more view here from the zoomed in shot, and there's the contact. 34 gives a little nudge. Couple nudges, I should say, to the 38 of Michael Triscaro as they're all trying to slow down. And then there's the 4, Justin Mills. Mark Von Dell as well. That was a big hit. You saw the rear tires get lifted up off the ground. So as we wrap up, first caution of the night. 7 laps now complete, and as we go back up front, this will change that fuel window up a little bit. I think now it'll go to more of a solid one-stopper, if you will, or should be at least pretty close, maybe within the point of fuel saving. But nonetheless, you got Kevin Freese leading the way. John Ward in second, Dylan Jones back in third, Nash Brambilla in fourth with Kyler Wynn in fifth, Malik Gray back in sixth, Trevor Osborne in seventh with Freddie Bosnez in eighth, Ryan Baste in ninth, and Chris Walker up 4 spots from where he started. He rounds out your top 10.
Got Joe Huerta starting right behind Chris Walker too. As 2 of the Jack Shack, they're going to be looking to making moves up towards the front. Chris Walker's one of the most aggressive drivers in the field. He's one of those guys you don't want to make him angry. He will find his way to the front and he will stay there. It's going to help him a lot that he has his teammate Joe Huerta starting right behind him.
Yeah, I want to bring up the trends real quick. And I know this is a little bit random, but I'm sitting here thinking, we talked about Ethan Ecker winning last week, and I know it, I guess it depends the angle you look at it. Some are going to consider it an underdog win. It's his first win, so that's fair. But at the same time, you see the talent level for the 12 car, so you kind of expected it at some point. But if you kind of look at PGR as a whole from since we started, there's always an underdog win, and it almost feels like you get so many of these big dog wins, guys that you expect to see in victory lane. Kevin Freese, Malik Ray, these big names, Kyler Wynn, Cody Nagels. But then every once in a while you get that underdog win, and with us, it seems like every time we have an underdog win, the race after that is extra aggressive, almost as if some of the top drivers that have the most wins in PGR are trying to prove a point of, I don't want to say it was a fluke, but they want to say, no. It's an underdog win for a reason. We're going to be right back on top. And I'm sitting here watching the 5, as you are, Landon, and he has been dominant so far. And so Kevin Freese, for his return, it wouldn't be considered an underdog win, but boy, he certainly has not missed much in his time away.
No, he hasn't. And you're 100% right about what you're saying, is them going out there trying to prove a point. Money racers have egos, and there's no secret about that. They want to prove that they're the best every week, and there's nothing against that, right? It's people trying to prove how good they are, showcase their talents, and they're definitely going to, considering Ethan Ecker won last week. And I'm not bad-mouthing Ethan Ecker when I say that. He's a fantastic race car driver, but he has made a lot of people angry since he has started this, and that's just the truth. So watching these guys out here now, they definitely want to prove that point. It's like, okay, you're good, kid, but watch this, All
right, well, here we go. Pace car's going to pull off. It'll be the first restart of the night, and the first restart on the front row for John Ward. Field still in the hands, though, of Kevin Freese. Green flag is back in the air. 9 laps complete at Talladega, and it's a good restart for both lanes. Kevin Freese will beat the 92 to the line, but they're pretty even as they work their way down to turn number 1. Question's going to be who gets the advantage. Dylan Jones right now doing a lot of pushing, but the 7 of Nash Brambilla is matching him pretty well up top. And already, look at this third lane. Matt Lee's looking for a side draft. They're going to be 3 wide as they work onto the backstretch.
Dylan Jones almost got turned off Kyler Wynn's nose right there on the bottom. We got a lot of mixing, dicing around right here. Matt Lee, no surprise there. Matt Lee trying to make it up to the front. He's got Jeff Merck, Ethan Eckert, and Brian Hennings with him in the middle. It's going to be something to watch. We got another one drop down, 17 car. It's good. They're getting really dicey right now, Austin. I'm not sure what to think about this.
They certainly are, especially when you try to get that middle line working. That's when things get a little bit scary as you see Freese and Brambilla. They're now going to take a chance as they drop down to the middle in front of the 17 of Brock Westmoreland. And that's a big stack up. Hold on to it. Man, that got really close. But meanwhile, up front, How about John Ward, the Hyper Motorsports captain, now leading the way at Talladega? Oswanoff on the bottom. Remember, he has got a win in this car in this series. Came as his second win, but boy, he would like to see if he could do it again. Kyler Windlow's going to push the 92 clear and maybe get clear himself by the time they get into 3.
It'll be interesting watching the bottom here. We got Trevor Oswanoff on the bottom with Joe Huerta in the purple 1 car behind him. That's his Jack Shack teammate. They'll probably look to shuffle out that 24 car on the bottom, try and get them lined up. And then Mike Davenport will be third in line. They're definitely going to be making a push for the lead here. We got Kyler not letting off of John Ward's bumper at all. He is shoving him forward, trying to make as much progress as they can on that top line, and they're doing a great job.
He's only going to be able to do it for so long, though. Eventually, he will run out of engine temps, and he'll either have to back off of this 92, he'll have to drop down, or he'll have to hope that the 92 of Ward will drop down, and that's exactly what he's going to do. And so as John Ward jumps to the bottom, that'll give a chance for Kyler Wind to cool off a little bit, and now puts Dylan Jones to the position of lead pusher. Kevin Freeze, Malik Ray up top, and man, that is a really, really strong line to try to get by, and it's kind of interesting here. Freddie Bosna's up as well, but you notice, Landon, it seems like these top 2 up top are able to remain pretty clear. Well, just as I say that, the bottom's going to get back clear, and Ward's going to jump right back to the top.
Yeah, the top is obviously going to prevail out of the corners. You have the most forward momentum out of the corners if you take the outside. Obviously, the inside's the shorter way around. Works in corners, but you don't have the momentum, as it looks like Trevor Oswanoff is trying to... He gets let back in line on the bottom. Big move in the middle by the Busch Light car. That was almost a crash right there. It looks like we got one in the wall. Caution's out.
Oh, and we do have a wreck further back. Multiple cars around. Looks like Mills in this one again. Oh, ouch. And he gets rear-ended at the end of that by Joshua McCullough. And a couple more. Steve Sizemore, he's in the grass in the 14 car. He's going to try to get that Ford Mustang back rolling, and I saw even more than that. Talked about Joshua McCullough. Not sure if Ken got any damage here, but a couple others slowed to get back rolling. The 17 of Brock Westmoreland, who I think you actually noted right as the camera frame left view, was one of the cars that kind of almost had ended up in a wreck, and maybe that did actually lead to something. And so we'll go back and take a look at it here before we do any more speculation as to where does this start. Well, it looks like they get 4 wide at some point up front, and that's right around Ethan Eckert and company, but what causes them to get that way? That's what we need to try to figure out here. So we're going to zoom in a little bit further up the field. And so watch Ethan Eckert. This is right around Parker Retzloff and the 4 of Justin Mills again. Remember, he was involved in that first wreck, and looks like he's going to get collected here as well. So, all right, here we go. Watch from TV3. Oh, man, somebody gets really, really out of shape on the bottom and actually shoots up the racetrack. And that's the 6th. The 168, though, of Austin Floyd had some sort of blinking issue. Boy, that was a really, really odd look. And once he had that bit of a blink, if you will, that's where everything started. So this is Mike George in the 6th. Now watch the 168 behind him. He's going to blink out here, so the car temporarily loses connection right as there's a brief checkup, and that's what it is. I know he disappeared, but that's what that was. There was a checkup, and the 168 got into the back of Mike George. That sent him up the track, and now it's just kind of a stack-up chain reaction where everybody's going to start to get involved, and Mills gets checked up. He's going to go down the track and collect Jeff Merck, and then behind him you saw the 14, Steve Sizemore, get into the wall, but look at this. Merck gets turned up the racetrack here, just misses Brian Hennings. The 36 had nowhere to go. He gets into Merck as he's getting kind of T-bone pushed by the 14, and then there's the 17 of Brock down below the apron as Kevin Freeze tries to sneak by. Looks like he does. Sheets does as well. And then there's the contact at the end by Joshua McCullough. Yeah,
well, I mean, I know we sat here thought they were going to calm down a little bit, but apparently not. But there's nothing you can do in that situation. A car that blinked, I don't know if the blinking was the root cause of that crash or not. Just getting turned, Mike George getting turned from the bottom up into the middle. There's nothing anyone can do in that situation. The runs you get in these cars are almost impossible to stop in that situation. And it was just a split-second decision by Parker Retzloff, Matt Lee, Justin Mills, just to save what was happening in front of them, and unfortunately it took out quite a few cars there.
And again, I know that everybody was racing hard, but it really wasn't a product of anybody doing anything wrong. It was just that big stack-up effect that we see in these big fields. And remember, the last couple of weeks we had been doing 50 to 60 cars, so we saw accidents of the same result, but a lot worse. And it's a product of these cars, right? You look at the next gens, you look at the Gen 6 series, the bigger the runs that you can get in a car, the bigger the stack-ups are ultimately going to be. And for Austin Floyd, I don't know if the blink had anything to do with it, but it just looked like when that stack-up started on the bottom, right about where he blinked back in was where the contact occurred, and then Joshua McCullough there right at the end. That's pretty big. That's a pretty big hit, even though I know it looked that they had slowed down quite a bit for him and Justin Mills. And that's just kind of a deer in the headlights moment where you just kind of lock the brakes and hope that it's going to slow down. And fortunately wasn't quite able to do so in time. So as we go back live up front, John Ward still being scored as your leader. Was on the front row for the last restart, and he'll be in the same spot again for this one. Then you've got Kyler Wynn in second, Trevor Oswinoff for the Jack Shack in third, Dylan Jones fourth, and Malik Ray currently rounding out your top 5.
Maybe they'll be calm now, Austin. They've had 2 wrecks in the first 15 laps. They might see that and calm down. At least that's the safe thing to do. But there's a lot of guys in this field, as we stated earlier, they're going to be making the moves up forward. We got John Ward up front. We've got Kyler Wynn, Trevor Oswald, Dylan Jones. Those are guys that are going to be throwing blocks, and they're going to be trying to maintain their lead, push their line forward. I don't think a wreck is going to happen out of them. They know what they're doing pretty well, but what they are doing can cause that checkup in the back of the field that someone just cannot stop for. I don't know. We'll see what we got here.
Well, Landon, you're a driver. I mean, we're on board right now with Trevor Oswinoff, but what would you do? Are you going to be more aggressive or less aggressive after that?
After what I've seen so far, if I was in Trevor's position, I would probably just stay where I'm at, because I've always been of the belief, like, if you're at the front, that could be the best place to be. Like, sure, a crash can still happen there, but at least if there is a crash, more than likely, if you're, like Trevor's in third right now, it's good. There's 37 more cars out back that can cause a crash. That's going to be behind you, and you're not going to have any issue. If I was in his shoes, I would just sit with what I got, not push anything too crazy. We're on lap 15 after all. We still got 41 to go. Very, very long race left ahead of us. Hopefully they can sit there, be aware of where they are in the race, and just ride it out for a little bit.
I think you just hit the nail on the head, but, in terms of the aggression, depends on exactly where you're at in the field, which I know you said if you're Trevor, you're trying to maintain, so if you're him, maybe you're a little bit more aggressive, but if you're somebody like Tyler Vickery, who we're on board with right now, and, further back in the field, maybe you're less aggressive, conservative, see if there's a big wreck in front, and then try to get your track position and then be more aggressive from there. Now, granted, there is a point in the race where everybody has to flip to being aggressive, and that's, I would say, probably after either that last pit stop, or if we continue to get cautions, maybe with, 20, 25 to go, but we're still a little bit of a ways from that point, still a lot of racing to go, and we're getting ready to get this thing back going green. And Kyler Wynn, now that he's going to have a chance at some clean air, we'll see what he can do out front.
Yeah, Kyler's going to be, Trev's going to push him. Trevor's really going to shove him right here. I think John Ward has control of the restart right here. We'll see if he gets clear enough. He'll clear low, most likely, in front of Kyler. If not, Trev's going to push Kyler past him, and Kyler will definitely be throwing the block to take that top away from John Ward.
And there you see on the back of the 89, the Have You Seen Logan York paint scheme. I like to see it as we get ready to go back green. Kyler Wynn into the restart zone with Ward not quite going to be able to match him this time. In fact, looks like a little bit of a stack up for the inside line as the 92 will get clear before they get to turn 1, and looks like he's going to try to bring Dylan Jones with him. Boy, he's going to have a choice here to make. That inside is stacked up big. The 92's got to drop down to cover it. Not going to be able to, but it does look like Malik jumped up, so the outside's going to start to get a little bit more momentum again. Freeze is going to go a lane higher. Now Malik's going to jump up as well. The 92 of Ward will move even higher to cover. 3 wide down the backstretch in Jones, and it looks like Joe Herta, they've got nowhere to go as they're fading in the middle.
They've got some help coming to him, but they've lost Joe. Joe's going to drop in front of Brian Hennings, and Dylan Jones is going to try to clear. That was close. They sorted out the 3 wide. Trev just went right through Kyler. Kyler moves up. Ryan Bass drops back down with his teammate. Looks like Trev's going to take the lead here. John Ward passes Kyler through the middle. Trev to the top. We got a lot of action going on right now.
Yeah, and it's really interesting that the first 2 laps or so on all these restarts have been the most aggressive. Usually the first couple laps are a little bit more calm as everybody's trying to get up to speed, but ooh, big moment on the bottom right there for the 23. There was some contact between him and the 11 of Dylan Jones. That was a really good save by Chris Walker as that car bumped the apron, and that's a tough situation, but he holds on as meanwhile up front, Trevor's going to get pushed to the lead, but Kyler's going to return the favor when Trevor pushed him out of the groove just about a lap or so ago as he'll duck low with Malik Ray and Kevin Freeze. And stack it up. 1 in the wall. That's Tyler Vickery in the 124. Can everybody else save it? It looks like they all do. Tyler Vickery, is he going to stay with the leaders here? No, he's not. He's going to fade back, and the question is, how bad's the damage on the 124? Well, he's certainly got a couple scrapes there on the right side door. I'm not sure what happened there, Landon, but that's a tough break now for Tyler Vickery.
Yeah, it definitely is. That looked like a pretty substantial hit as well, but now we've got a about 7-8 car breakaway at the top. No surprise seeing Malik push Kyler to the lead right there. Their teammates, their buddies. Trev's coming back to the bottom trying to push John Ward. Nobody down there, though. Nobody's home. Trev might get shuffled back here. Yeah, starting to single file out at the front. Dylan Jones is trying to push mid. I'm confused now because we had all this action, and then maybe that was the breaking point where they say we're going to sit here, ride. We're not going to wreck any more of us this early in the race. I mean, at least that's the smart thing to do, but who knows?
Well, there's still a lot of energy overall in this pack. The problem is it's just kind of concentrated towards the back half of it for now, but here we go. Matt Lee's going to jump down in front of Trevor Oswanath, and this is what you got to do. You got to get more drivers to get that momentum back going, and man, that was a big push that Trevor gave to Matt Lee, and that almost got the 04 turned out of shape, but looks like the push works, and now they're going to have enough of a run to draw back even with the leaders, and just like that, we're 2x2 down the backstretch again.
It's going to be pretty hard for Trevor to push Matt Lee. I mean, those are two great drivers down at the bottom, but you're trying to get Malik and Kyler separated. Sorry. That's going to be a very tall order for them to achieve, but they're getting there. Here they come. They door. Matt Lee and Kyler win a little bit right there. Up to the lead. We've got to battle for it again.
Getting aggressive, and boy, you would think we're on the last lap with how much pushing we're seeing, but look further back. Parker Retzloff in the 8. He's going to look to the top with the 38 of Michael Triscaro. Remember, he got some damage in that first wreck. Actually, both of those cars did. But it looks like they are still running just fine as they try to get this third lane working. We'll see if they get anybody else to jump up with them. But Kyler Wynn, the only Toyota anywhere inside the top 10, it looks like for now. Unless the 23, nope, that's another Chevy. In fact, he might be one of the few Toyotas we've got in the field here tonight. He continues to lead. Him and Malik Ray have been working very good together. But this inside, they're not giving up. And actually, I think this is interesting because what we saw in the heat, Landon, was that really that bottom just could not make it work. But that's what you got to be really careful of, is what we just saw from Matt Lee. You try to make a block in these cars, they can take a lot of pushing, but boy, the runs are so much quicker to form up. And if you're a little bit late on the block, that could cause a big accident, especially here at the front.
It definitely can, and if you're Matt Lee, you also got to be aware of who you're jumping in front of. That is Kyler Wynn, after all. He is not going to let off for you, as he shouldn't. I mean, he's racing for the lead just like the rest of them are. But it's just someone that was very risky, in my opinion, for Matt Lee to do. But they made it work. He got a little sideways. They're getting real squirrely again. Now we got 3x3 throughout the pack.
And there's a look at Ryan Based in the 24. He is now currently up 20 positions from where he started this race at. The only person that's gained more spots than him inside the top 5 is Joe Herta, who is currently up 24 positions. Oh, the 89 of Oswald. Oh. Hold on to it here. This could be the big one.
I want to say, Kevin Freeze.
Kevin
Freeze gets turned in the back.
Oh, no. And oh, man, they're going to wreck. Thought they were going to hold on to it. They are not. That's Kevin Freeze around. Looks like a couple others. Can't tell who the other 5 is. Is that Sam King? Yes, it is. And then the 21 got turned around. That's Joshua McCullough. And it, looks like I see the 05 and Noah Rainwater there as well. Yes, indeed. Oh boy, it feels like every accident tonight has been right as we've kind of zoomed out of camera view, or I guess in this case zoomed in on camera view, but certainly seemed like they weren't calming things down. And third caution now with just 22 of 55 laps complete. We continue to get closer and closer to the halfway point. But let's see what happens here in this one. Turn out the third caution. Watch Sam King in the 5. There's some sort of stack up in front. I think it was the one. Okay, so it's going to be Sam King as the first driver to go around, and then that's Kevin Freeze, the other 5 just behind. But watch the checkup that, man, that's a really, really interesting spot. That's Kyler Wynn that's all the way up there. My question is, how does he get up there? Kyler was near the front. And so he's 3 wide, and is he just fading back here? Yeah, it looks like the 2's got a big run. There was some contact up front that I think maybe spooked a couple of these drivers towards the middle of the pack to maybe try to check up a bit. That was with the 74, Brian Hennings. Watch this again. Top of your screen, watch the 74, the bright yellow and green 74 car. And there's going to be a little bit of a move here from Oswanath, and as he ducks down, the 78's gets kind of squeezed. The 89 almost gets turned around. That gets him into Brian Hennings. The rest of the field, I think, thinks this is going to be a wreck. And so there you see Malik Ray. He's going to get on the brakes. John Ward tries to do the same. And then everybody's just trying to figure out a way to dodge it. But unfortunately for Sam King, gets turned around as they kind of started to get 4 wide as part of the checkup. And then the 05 and Noah Rainwater, nowhere to go for him. They get down into the 23. That clips off the rear bumper cover for the 5. And then you saw behind him, Kevin Freeze. He gets turned up the racetrack here. Just barely taps the outside wall. Austin B. Floyd goes around, as does the 81. This one collected quite a few.
Yeah, it did. That was a very odd situation. It was great to see Trev and them save it at the front of the pack, but like we've been saying, the further back you go in the pack, no matter where you really are, like that checkup's gonna be even more extreme. And there's sometimes it's not so much the drivers themselves like can't handle it, like can't see it coming. It's just in a split second where these things happen, and it's just unfortunate that it takes them out like that. Yeah, I don't know if we saw what happened to Kyler there. I'm sure he was just reacting to what happened with Trev. But all things considered, everyone minus Larry McDonald, there wasn't a ton of damage in that crash. It doesn't appear to be. So a lot of these guys should still be able to run and get their damage fixed and compete.
Saw Michael Triscaro just hopping on driver cams. Talk about him here in just a moment. But before we do, I want to get a couple more angles of this wreck. And watch this here from turn 3 and 4 cam. And we'll go to the 4 exit and watch the 23 here. You'll see he gets shot right back up the racetrack, and boom, big hit back of that race car. And you wonder for Sam King and Kevin Freeze, I think King got the worst of this one, but there's certainly a couple others that got a pretty significant amount of damage as well, as there goes the 36 of Aaron Ramon. He was able to miss this wreck. We'll get one more look at this here before we go back live from TV3 and watch. We're going to go actually a little bit further up here to Austin Floyd, who was kind of right in the middle of this. And watch the job the 168 does here to try to miss the majority of this. Gets tagged once and then stand on the brakes. And then unfortunately right at the end there, as the 23 came back up, is where he couldn't miss it any longer and got all the damage that he sustained. That could be a race ender for, I'd say, 3 to 4 of these guys. As again, no fast repair, so whatever damage you get, you got to get repaired optionally. But looks like quite a few of them have returned to the racetrack. And so as we look up front, leading the way now is Sean Futrell, Mike Davenport in 2nd, Chris Walker 3rd, Joe Herta in 4th, Trevor Osmanoff rounding out your top 5, Matt Lee in 6th, Brian Hennings in 7th, Ryan Based 8th, Mike George in 9th, and J.R. Miller currently rounding out your top 10. But how about Sean Futrell? Look at this. A little bit of a strategy call. And Landon, I'll tell you what, it's got him up to 1st. He's up 39 positions from where he started. What do you think about this call?
It's good for him. It gives him the track position. I did notice while we were looking at the replays that the entire field pit except for him. So he is going to be pretty off strategy unless he pit that last caution. I mean, there's still going to be a pretty big like lap gap of fuel and everything involved in that. But who knows? The way this is running, this could be a good call for him. He's got track position. I'm not sure where he was running prior to this, but at least now he knows he's at the front. It's just going to be interesting to see if he can maintain where he's at.
Going to be very interesting to see how things work out. By the way, there's Michael Triscaro, the driver out of Chagrin Falls, Ohio. You notice the shirt he's got on. Hey, that's looking pretty sleek. That's the new PGR eSports jerseys. I think if you're interested in getting one for yourself, you can have it custom made to fit your driver emblem, driver logo, and driver number. So if you're interested in that, make sure you reach out to Michael Triscaro, see if there's anything that he can get you hooked up with there. But it's a pretty good looking jersey. And Michael Triscaro, remember, he is still due for one here eventually. He's came so close so many times. And, you know, the biggest thing for drivers who have not quite found their first win, Landon, is leading on the white flag and then being wrecked before you make it to the checkered. We'll see. Maybe that changes tonight for Triscaro, but he's got a lot of work to do. I'm still looking, though. Who knows? Maybe we break the trend of, you know, only getting that underdog win once in a while, because right now we've got 2 underdog winners on the front row. If Davenport or Futrell could pull it off. Still, though, quite a bit of laps to go. Looks like it's going to be 30 exactly as we cross the line here to get the restart. And, oh, stacking up a bit on the bottom right there is the 39. Hit a downshift. They'll get it sorted out. And we'll see how this restart goes. Back into the Geico restart zone. Green flag in the air. 25 of 55 laps complete, and it's a great restart for the inside, but the 39 misses a shift, and now the 55 of Davenport is going to almost get clear. Yes, he will, and he'll jump down into turn 1.
Oh, we got Chris
Big
Walker
hit.
and Joe Huerta, the teammates, just
Oh,
crashed.
man.
Oh, no. Got him stacking up in the back, too. Big hit.
Tucker McClendon nowhere to go, and boy, that's a really, really bad mistake to have happen right there. That's going to retire the 23 here for the night. Oh, man, that is certainly not the way they had that panned out. You talked about teammates, but that's just, I don't even know. Watch Herta and Walker here. Let's go to the zoomed in view here. And as they go through one here, let's see, does Joe come down or does the 23 come up? See the 39 slots down, and well, Joe's certainly holding him tight, but what I wonder here, Landon, and you can kind of see it as it happens. Boy, that was a massive hit for the 23, but as the 39 comes down right here, I wonder if when he chops off his nose, that kind of makes the car shoot up the racetrack. I think it has something to do with that because he was clear, but it was not by much. I mean, he didn't clear his bumper. He slid across his bumper, and it didn't shoot the 23 up much, but as close as they were running and the way they were running, you know, with the one being kind of on the right rear of the 23 or Walker, that's just a bad spot for Herta and Walker to be in when the 39 got clear, and I don't know if it's anything either one did wrong. That's just a really, really interesting position, though, with the 39 right as he cleared down being the moment that the 23 got tight.
Yeah, I mean, you'd think when Sean Futrell, when he comes down right there, you'd think if it was scraping Chris Walker's nose, that it would have sent him to the apron a little bit and then maybe back up the racetrack. But he just shot right up the racetrack into Joe Huerta. I'm really not sure what caused that. It could have been a netcode deal. It could have been the aerodynamics of these cards, something to that effect. I see Sean Futrell, he was given a penalty here for, I guess, causing the accident in the opinion of race control. Big hit for Tucker McClendon, too, into the back of Chris Walker. There was some netcode, too, but yeah, I'm really not sure what happened there. Looks like Chris Walker was turning left and just got hooked. That very, very strange deal.
Well, that decision by race control might give us some insight into what they believe caused it, and that would be that the 39, when he cleared down, just got this 23 tight with how late that clear down was. And I think we actually saw this either last week or a couple weeks ago, a similar spot with Dylan Jones and Richard Elliott at the end of a race. But watch this hit for Chris Walker. I mean, dead right into the fence, just rips the front end of that car apart. All four tires off the ground. The right front suspension completely breaks off of that car. Joe Herta takes another big shot into the safer barrier. And then everybody trying to sneak around. And then you mentioned here, as the 23 slides down, everybody's trying to miss this. Most of them do, but then Tucker McClendon just loose sideways trying to get the car woed up and just unfortunately can't quite do it in time. And it was a netcode hit, but it was still a pretty big hit at that.
It was a big hit, and I really feel bad for those guys, especially Chris and Joe. I mean, I watched them in Discord today. They were so excited about this race. They were making their paint schemes for this race together, and to see them go out in that way is so unfortunate to see that.
Certainly is. Well, as we go back live, this now continues to kind of dim the window, if you will, for any fuel strategy. Is 27 to 55 complete. It's going to be just a couple over 25 when we get the green flag back in the air, but it is Matt Lee right now being scored as your leader. He's in a Toyota. Trevor Osmanoff in a Chevy second, and then Mike George in a Ford in third. John Ward back in fourth. Mike Davenport rounds out your top five. Those two are in Chevys as well. Brian Henning sixth. Ryan Baste in seventh. J.R. Miller eighth. Kyler Wynn in ninth. And Steven Scott Jr. currently rounding out your top 10. All right, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break before we go back to green flag racing, but we'll go side by side so you don't miss a thing. Stick with us. We'll be right back at Talladega.
couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive, especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
But you feel like you're really driving, it feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Green flag is in the air. We are racing.
Three by three.
Almost no trouble. Around goes Alex Hill. On into the outside wall goes Hill. They're wrecking big time out back. We're not going to throw a caution. To the finish. Who gets it in the line? Cody Nagels wins it at Talladega.
Welcome back to Talladega Superspeedway. PGR eSports' Intimidator Superspeedway Series making the stop here tonight. 28 to 55 laps complete as the green flag is now back in the air. Oh man, that was a little bit of wheel spin right there. Stacking up the inside here just briefly, but it looks like they're going to get it together pretty quick. Good restart for the front two. The battle's going to be between Mike George and John Ward of who can get to the back bumper of the leader first. Looks like it is going to be that outside line. John Ward was able to get locked up with Lee, but now the inside is going to start to fight back through 1 and 2. Ooh, man, wiggling all around. The 6 of Mike George is getting a lot of help from the 55 of Mike Davenport. And on these restarts, oh, man, another big moment, as that was the 24, Brian Baston, Kyler Wynn, who started to get stacked together, and this has killed the inside. Lee, Ward, and Brian Hennings will all get clear by the time they get to 3.
Absolutely massacred the inside line. They were somewhat holding momentum with the outside, but they're just gone now. They'll get back together. They'll regroup. They'll find a way back up there. We got Matt Lee, John Ward. Looks like Brian Hennings top 3 right now. That's a pretty solid group of top 3 to have. But we saw this earlier. We saw the first like 7, 8 cars on the outside. Single file out, and then with one move that someone made to the bottom, it just became 3 by 3 by 3 all over again.
And we were sitting here talking during break. Fuel window has gotten really, really close now. And oh, look at this. Jeff Merck, Kyler Wynn, a little bit of a, I don't know, we'll call it a disagreement between each other, as they were going to initially work together, but quickly were able to separate from each other. But looking at that fuel window again is, man, they are all but wrecking right now on this inside. They cannot seem to find a good duo for anybody with that 6 of Mike George. He has been sideways just about every time he's gotten pushed, so they're going to try to ditch him as they move up to the middle and then back down just in front of him. Kyler Wynn and Mike Davenport, that is. But I was getting ready to say, Landon, looking at fuel, we said initially maybe 30 laps, give or take 5 laps. I would say maybe more so somewhere between 25 and 30 laps on fuel, and we went green with about 27 to go, so, man, they're going to be right there.
Yeah, it's definitely. Oh, we got a wreck. We got another wreck down there on the bottom. Just one car. Looks like everyone's gonna miss him except for one. One of them went right into the rear end. Overall, great job by the field, making that a way smaller incident than it could have been.
Indeed, that was David Sheets. Ran into the back of, I couldn't tell, I think it was Malik Ray. It was the 55 of Mike Davenport that he might have ran into. But yeah, I think race control threw that caution because they were thinking exactly what you just saw, Landon, which was this was getting ready to be a big wreck, but somehow everybody was able to save it. Nicely done, but let's see what sparks this one initially. Thought it might have been Mike Davenport where the contact started. Yeah, it was, and boy, this was almost a huge wreck. That's the 5 of Kevin Freeze. And so they get 4 wide here by the time they get to 3. I'm not sure how this one shapes up. Actually, I take that back. I know exactly how this one's going to shape up, but let's back it up all the way to where things get started here. So at this point, they're 2 wide, 3 wide just out back, but watch Ethan Eckert in the 12. He's going to jump up here. He splits, makes Merck go 4 wide, and then as they get to the turn, Davenport doesn't really have anywhere to go, so he's forced to take Merck 4 wide, and then Kyler Wynn just taps him in the back. That gets Davenport a little bit loose, and didn't really have any room to save it initially, but eventually he did get it straightened out. Unfortunately for David Sheets, he was not quite able to get checked up in time, and so he ran into the back of Davenport. I don't think that 55 sustained too much damage, but for the 06 of David Sheets, that car is certainly going to lose quite a bit of aero advantage.
Yeah, I mean, that was a pretty big hit, but it looks like the damage isn't that bad for David Sheets or Mike Davenport, for that matter. That should have been a way bigger wreck than it was. Very good job on the field for not making that way bigger. It looks like a racing deal. I know with Jeff Merck, it looks like he still has a little bit of damage. He might not have been keeping much pace with the pack. Ethan Eckert split him 4 wide. No surprise there, and just a little bit of contact, Davenport and Merck. Just another racing deal.
Well, a racing deal indeed, but we see things like this once in a while, and this is where we get a little bit of a chance to give more of an opinion than sometimes people probably care for. But, if you're Eckert in that situation, again, I feel like you got to kind of ask the question a little bit of kind of why, right? I mean, it's just not the best situation to do it. You're coming out of the trial, you're going 4 wide as you're working your way down to turn 1. You know things are going to tighten up. You know it gets narrow, and I mean, for Mike Davenport in this case, and you know what, I do want to take this back a little bit. In Eckert's defense, when he makes that move, it technically only puts him 3 wide, so actually that's not a fair argument on my end, but in Mike Davenport's case, there's nothing he can do here either, because when he gets up to him, he's got so much of a run with Kyler tucked in just behind him that if he tries to check up, they probably have another one of those stack-up wrecks that we've already seen a few of here tonight, so I agree. I think actually after a second look, that's just kind of a racing deal. But man, what a heck of a save by Davenport and Freeze to not make this bigger than it was.
Well, you are right, but then there's the question of why would Ethan split a car on the top like that? Yeah, you know, like they're already running the wall, and you're already trying to make space to do that. Hey, I don't think Ethan did anything wrong personally. He is just racing after all. But it's what we see with him and a few others is they're going to race you hard. They're not going to give you any chances. And in a way, you have to respect that, you know? I mean, it's like you go out there, you're going to race hard. Maybe not so much clean sometimes, but at least you're going to race hard and not be a pushover, you know? It's unfortunate that happened. I do hope Ethan doesn't get like any sort of hate for that. I really don't think he did much wrong because, as you said, it was 3 wide when he made that move, not 4. But, you know, hopefully everyone can square it up. Looks like David Sheets got a lot of his damage fixed. He might be still competitive, even with that nose. That's good. That's really good for him. Not much damage left, and hopefully he'll be able to compete. So,
Landon, you said you hope he doesn't get any hate. Did you forget what we're racing here? This is super speedway racing. Guys are going to get yelled at no matter if they caused the wreck or not. So I'm sure he's going to hear something about it later. But nonetheless, as we go back live up front, the 04 Matt Lee leads the way. Sam King in second. Trevor Oswanoth in third. Ken McCullough Jr. fourth. John Ward in fifth. You've got Dylan Jones back in sixth. Brian Henning seventh. J.R. Miller eighth. Sean Futrell in ninth. Joshua McCullough rounding out your top 10. And now with that caution, fuel is no longer going to be a concern. Everybody going to be good to go, at least for regulation. If we go into overtime, maybe that makes things a little bit more complicated. But 22 to go, and it's going to be 21 to go when we get the restart. By the way, shout out to everybody tuning in here tonight. Been watching it. Looks like it's been pretty consistent between 40 and 50, so we certainly appreciate everybody that's been tuning in. Hopefully everything on the broadcast end has been a little bit smoother. And of course, looking forward to next Thursday as well. We'll be back with more PGR eSports, Intimidator Superspeedway Series racing, and then the next place that PGR is going to head, at least that I know of, should be on Monday to the Little Guy Series, so make sure you check that out. May have a race hosted tomorrow night with McCullough Motorsports, so if you're interested, go check that out as well. But man, Landon, it's been a fun one so far, and we're slowly but surely working our way down to crunch time. 22, going to be 21 to go. Do you think as a driver you have to work your way to the front now, or can you maybe try to wait through one more wreck?
Absolutely not. If it was me, if I was already at the back, you just sit here and let it ride. We haven't had a green flag run longer than somewhere between 5 and 10 laps, you know. They're going to wreck again at this pace. I mean, you know, it's pretty common to have like a few wrecks at the start and then it fizzle out. It has yet to fizzle out, and we're closing in on crunch time, right? So yeah, no, we're just going to see more aggression, more crazy moves, crazy blocks, and just looking down the grid, the guys that are in the back of the field, Kyler Wynn, Ethan Eckert, Parker Retzloff, like we saw him in the heat earlier, they're going to be making the moves. Michael Triscaro still hasn't won a PGR race. He's going to be making the moves probably now to get up there. Just hopefully they do it cleanly. and without any sort of crazy, anything stupid. As I'll just be blunt with it. We'll see how it goes.
Certainly will. All right, here we go. Pace car is going to pull off. That puts the field in the hands of a Toyota and a whole bunch of Chevys and Mustangs that make up the rest of the top 10. Matt Lee looking to see if he can get the job done. I believe he is the only Nightmare eSports driver in the field here tonight. See if he can bring home a lot of money for that team. Meanwhile, on the outside, Sam King got in a wreck earlier, but he's looking to recover as the green flag is back in the air. It's a good restart for the 04 Matt Lee. He gets off through the gears nice and smooth, and he'll immediately jump to the top of the racetrack to cover the 5 of Sam King. That allows Oswanoff, Ward, and Brian Hennings to get to pushing on the bottom. And here comes the 39 of Futrell. The 11 of Jones is starting to link up with Ken McCullough Jr. Do we see anybody go 3 wide? Not yet. Further back, though. There goes Kyler Wynn and Kevin Freeze. Oh, big moment for the 24, Ryan Baston. Now they're 4 wide further back.
Yeah, the racing's getting crazy again, but you know who I have my eyes on now, Austin? Kenny McCullough. That man has not won a PGR race either, and he is one of the most patient drivers in the field. He has had a horrible run as of late in money racing, and here he is up in P3 on the outside line. He's sitting in a very, very good spot here.
Veteran experience goes a long way. Ken McCullough Jr., one of the most veteran drivers in the field here tonight, and now he will get lined up in the lead pusher position behind Matt Lee. Boy, look at Sam King, though, going to work. He is trying to work these lanes just as everybody else does to stay at the front. Brian Hennings now caught in the middle, but Matt Lee up top. He's going to get another big surge as Ken McCullough Jr. and Dylan Jones both going to get locked up, and you can see Trevor's trying to push the 5. They get tandemed up, and man, a lot of pushing right now between both lanes. 4-car tandem on the bottom.
What a run for Sam King as well. That's a name I haven't recognized from any racing that I've done since I started this, and he's up here leading the PGR race right now, getting pushed by, I believe, Trevor Osbornoff. Yep. And Kyler Wynn. There's Kyler. There he is. He's going to get ready. Kyler's going to be making the moves. He's going to be splitting people. He's going to be blocking. It's about to get wild.
Something's got to give. They cannot do this for another 19 laps with the way it's going right now. Lee's going to get split now up top by Ken McCullough Jr. And, oh boy, hold your hat. Sam King's got covered. There they go. 2 around on the apron. It's Lee and the 24, Ryan Bass. Will he slide back up? Yes, he will, and it collects multiple others.
Big wreck there.
The 18's in it. The 4 of Justin Mills is in it, as is the 36 of Aaron Ramon. Well, you knew it was just a matter of time, and now your 6th caution of the night with just 19 laps to go. And this is, oh, they're still almost wrecking here as the 24 slid back down the banking. It looks like they'll get it sorted out. Let's go back and break this one down for you. Matt Lee had got stuck in a very awkward position, and this isn't the first time we've seen this here tonight. When a driver gets put in the middle or the outside and there's no help for quite a ways, once that help finally does arrive, the momentum is just so much that it's almost hard to kind of decide what to do with it. And the 78, I believe that's J.R. Miller. Yep, sure enough. Just kind of gets pushed into him, it looks like. I'm trying to watch here. Let's see. Yeah, he's getting pushed by Ethan Eckert here, and I think in Ethan's fairness, at this point, he can't see how far ahead Matt Lee is. He's just concerned with trying to push JR. He knows they've got room to work with, but then right here, JR's like, we got to check up. And as he tries to check up, just gets kind of pushed through there, and that turns him into Lee, which hooks the 04 down into the 24. And right here, thought maybe for just a second they were going to be able to save it and keep it down on the apron, but what goes down must come back up, and eventually the 2 slides back up. That's Malik Ray, along with the 24. Ryan Bass got into the, looked like Mark Vondelli. You saw the hit right there at the end, along with the 24. He gets some damage. Multiple cars involved, but I think Bass, one of the cars that got the worst of this once he slid back up. And that's just a tough spot to be in right there, Landon. This isn't the first time we've seen this in JR's case right there. I mean, what's he supposed to do? He's seen what happens when you try to split it 4 wide, tries to check up, but now we see what happens when you try to check up.
There's nothing JR could do in that situation. And again, I'm not trying to pick on Ethan or anything. Ethan has done that a few times. He did it to me in a Tuesday Night Thunder race a couple weeks ago, where he doesn't see a checkup and will just continue driving through the guy who's ever in front of him. Now, in all fairness, you can't really see that, but you should also kind of have an awareness about you where you can see where Matt Lee gets shuffled, right? So you should, think forward and know ahead that he's going to be falling back. But there's nothing JR could have done, and Ethan maybe could have done a little bit more, but at the end of the day, there's not much he could do. There's a lot of heavy hitters involved in that one too. Malik Ray, the Coke Series driver, Matt Lee, someone who wins almost all these races, it seems like. Ryan Based for the Jack Shack, Ethan Eckert, I don't know if he got any damage there. JR Miller for PGR, lots of big names in that one.
I'm sitting here looking at the chat. Somebody said Justin Mills has been in every wreck, and boy, isn't that the truth? It seems like every single wreck we've seen here tonight has had the 4-car involved, and as we zoom the camera frame back out, you see on the pits there, Steven Scott Jr., bad sign for any of his fans because you see the front left of that race car and he's got no suspension, so that'll be a night ender for him, which is 17 laps to go. Going to be even less than that once we get the green. But back up front, leading the way, Trevor Oswald for the Jack Shack. On the outside, it's going to be Kyler Wynn in second, Kevin Freese in third, Ken McCullough Jr. in fourth with Dylan Jones in fifth, John Ward in sixth, Joshua McCullough in seventh, Brandon Matz back in 8th, J.R. Miller 9th, and Michael Triscaro has now worked his way back up to the top 10 late in the going. And just before we do get back going to green, we're going to go ahead and take another break, but we'll go side by side, and we'll be right back for the restart.
I played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive, especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
Make you feel like you're really driving. It feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Green flag is in the air. We are racing. Three by three. Almost all trouble. Around goes Alex Hill. On into the outside wall goes Hill. They're wrecking big time out back. We're not going to throw a caution. Finish. Who gets it in the line? Cody Nagels wins it in Talladega.
Welcome back to Talladega Superspeedway, wrapping up what is your sixth caution here tonight. It's going to be 15 laps to go as we get closer and closer to crowning a winner here tonight in the Intimidator Superspeedway Series. Green flag is back in the air. Trevor Oswald with a good jump. Kyler Wynn will try to match him as they race to the line. Oswald will get the better jump, but it looks like the outside is going to get a little bit more organization by the time they get to turn number 1. Now it's a 3x3 tandem. Jones was able to get there, as was John Ward, the 92. If he can get to the 03 here, Kyler Wynn's going to get clear. Maybe not quite. They're going to remain side by side down the back as Freese was able to push back, and you see a little bit of damage on the right side of that 5 car. Not sure if it'll affect him, but that outside now goes steamrolling by. Looks like Kyler's going to get clear. Can Ken get clear as well?
They probably will. There was a big checkup on the bottom of that restart with the looked like Nash Brambilla and Freddie Bazinez. Nash got a little sideways clip down to the apron. That killed a good bit of the momentum there. But they've gotten back up there. Granted, there's only 5 cars in that bottom lane, and Trev's right back there battling for the lead. Kenny McCullough splits him 3 wide. John Ward's going with him.
Wow, that's a big move. Kyler Wynn now forced to try to side draft the inside until he's able to get some help, and he is going to get it. Took a little while, but here comes the 81 in the middle, trying to make something happen. That's Brandon Matz. Parker Retzlaff now up here as well. He's going to jump to the middle behind Kyler Wynn. And just as he did, the 81 bailed. The 5 of Sam King, though, will jump up to replace him. The 78 of J.R. Miller on the outside trying to close the gap is now Ken McCullough Jr. in the middle. And what will Kyler Wynn do here? Does he push the 03? Yes, he does. 3 wide, and boy, man, it's getting really dicey. 1 on the apron. That's Tucker McClendon. He saves it further back. Man, they're all over the place out of 4.
They certainly are all over the racetrack right now, racing as hard as possible. We're 4 wide. Parker Retzlaff. Somebody, 78 gets clipped. I think that's J.R. Miller. They've sorted out. Parker's going to get the bottom now. He's working his way up there. We were just talking, Austin, about how we haven't seen him this whole race, and here he is. He started at the back. He's going to be up here now. Oh, Trevor almost gets turned by John Ward on the top side. That was almost big. They're going to sort that out as well. We got 3 wide in the middle of the pack.
We still got 4 wide actually back here right now. They still haven't got it figured out just yet. The 81 of Brandon Matz along with the 6 of Mike George. Still trapped. Ethan Eckert now trying to decide where to go. He'll figure it out. Looks like now they're going to get back down to 3x3 through 3 and 4. Meanwhile, up front, 2x2. Ken McCullough Jr. leads the bottom. He'll get clear as he slides up. Got to make that move a little bit sooner, and he does. The 84 of Kyler Wynn now all by himself on the bottom, but here comes the cavalry with Sam King and Parker Retzlaff.
Yeah, Sam King with a bad push to Kyler Wynn. Parker's going to split it 4 wide again. He's going to sort out. We got Mike Davenport's off the racetrack on the bottom. He got spun. They sorted out too. Got a big, 5-car runaway on the top side right now. We're back down to 3 wide. Retzlaff's trying to get up there. He's making those moves.
We'll see if it's enough to get him all the way to the lead, but right now, stuck on the outside of the racetrack. Well, I was going to say stuck on the outside, but I guess not for long because it looks like we're already getting a couple others. They're going to jump back down to the inside. Trevor Osmanoff, the first one to jump out of line down there, followed by the 92 of John Ward. Freddie Bosnez down there as well. Kyler Wynn and Matt Lee trying to get some resurgence into this inside lane. They'll be coming to 11 laps to go, and now, just maybe, Landon, they're going to start to show a little bit of calm before the storm.
They might, but that inside line, they're trucking right now. They're getting there. They're pulling up to about the 5th car in line. John Ward is a very, very aggressive pusher. He's going to get Trevor there. Looks like they're pulled up to the side of Dylan Jones. We've still got it not sorted out in the back. It looks like Retzlaff stuck in the middle. We got the 3rd lane, Freddie Bazinez. We got 1 spun off. Not sure who that was.
And that was only 1 car, no caution. Oh, that's Jonathan Herbert, and I don't know if he was able to keep it off that inside wall or not, but that spin does not put us under yellow. Let's go back and look at it here just once briefly. The 87, is he a victim of checkup? Yes, he is. Him and the 5, Sam King, get together. Be interesting to see if Race Control takes a look at that, but back of that race car did indeed bounce off the inside wall, so that'll give him some damage. Meanwhile, as we go back up front, Ken McCullough Jr. leads that long single file outside line, but they are still 3 wide towards the back and middle portions of this group. Looks like Kyler Wynn in the middle is getting ready to give a big push to Jeff Merkin. How about the 60? Got damaged, was kind of towards the back of the pack for a little bit, but right on cue. 10 to go, and he's trying to get back to the front.
I was just about to say, where did Jeff Merck come from? He was sitting there. He was in the first wreck of the night, Austin, and here he is back there getting pushed by Kyler Wynn, leading the bottom line, competing for the win in this race tonight. Kenny McCullough's still up front leading. He's got Kevin Freese and Dylan Jones behind him. Here comes Jeff Merck. Him and Kyler Wynn have broken away from the bottom line. They're still stuck 3 wide back there. He's going to push Jeff Merck to the lead. Kyler Wynn just pushed Jeff Merck side by side with Kenny McCullough. I think Merck led that lap right there. What a push by Kyler Wynn.
That is the power of the tandem in these race cars. Remember, Kyler had a lot of practice at doing that in the next gens as the Podium 500 champ. And so right now, he's going to have to back off, though. You see, he's trying to cool the temps. All that pushing, while it did get them to the front, it also got the temps under that 84's hood really, really hot. And as he cools down, they fade. But looks like Jeff is going to jump to the bottom. They might try a little bit of a switch right here. See if Kyler can get clear. But ooh, watch out. Couple on the apron. Big checkup. Looks like they all save it. And we're back to 4 wide again.
They barely sorted that out. Redsloff chopped Joe Huerta's nose off in the back, trying to get to the top. There's a big gap between Ryan Bates. Trevor Kyler Wynn almost gets turned off the nose of Ethan Eckert. We've got a lot going on right now, Austin. Matt Lee's back up here. He was just in an accident. Here he is. John Ward got shuffled out. He's back up here. Just the amount of shuffling going on right now is insane. John Ward doesn't know where he wants to go, bottom or middle. He's still trying to work that out. Meanwhile, the top 5 are just sitting where they at. Michael Triscaro, by the way, in 5th. We got Kenny McCullough. I think the top 5, I'm not sure about Dylan Jones. It looks like the top 5 have never won a PGR event before. That would be huge for them if they can sort it out between them, see who's going to get their first ever win.
Certainly would, and you also mentioned all the switching that's going on, and right now all that switching is going on towards the back, and as a result, nobody can generate any real momentum until they get organized, which looks like now they're going to start to do is they'll go back to 2x2 and really form up a kind of a solidified inside line, if you will. Matt Lee's getting pushed by Ward. Never mind. Now they're going to go back to 4 wide further back. Eckert. Oh, now they're going to go 5 wide through the tri-oval. This isn't going to work. Surely they get it sorted out. Now the 2 gets hit by Osmonaut. They're going to wreck. There they go. 2 around. How many is this one going to collect? 3, 4, make it 5 as they all slide up into the safer barrier going into turn 1. That's the 81 of Brandon Matz. Freddie Bosnez is in it. The 34 of Tucker McClendon had nowhere to go. Francisco Villarreal, he gets involved. I think they were 5 wide for a minute there before that incident occurred. And, I mean, if that happens, there's just no way it's going to work out, and it didn't here. Let's see if this is indeed confirmed. They did this in the Little Guy series a week or 2 ago. I don't know if I could say it's something I thought we'd saw over here in PGR at any point, but they found room for it, and they certainly tried it here. Got to give him props for that much, but watch this here. So Trevor Osenoth in the 89, he's back here. The 3 wide's just a couple spots in front of him here where Ethan Eckert stands. And yeah, they get 5 wide here. Somebody's got to give here. Nobody does, though. The 05 slides up a little bit. He gets into the 1 of Joe Huerta, and then as he tries to leave a little bit of room, he works his way down. The 2 is going to try to figure it out. Now, Osenoth has a big run. He has to decide who he wants to go with here. So he decides to go up and try to give a shot to Ethan Eckert. And as he gives him that bump, the 2's just kind of getting slightly pinched. And just, that's Freddie Bosnez, runs a little bit out of room. He ping-pongs a little bit, but that's okay. Once he gets hit, he saves it. And the contact is actually just out back with the 6 of Mike George. And what happens to George? Well, that's what happens. The 81 of Brandon Matz going down the racetrack to try to avoid the contact he saw in front. Gets down into Sam King and the 6 of Mike George and hooks him up into the 2. Nowhere to go for Freddie Bosnez, and then it's on from there. You see the 06 of David Sheets. He actually snuck by, but I would say that nobody else in the vicinity did besides him, as there was a couple of pretty big hits here. I think the worst of it, though, might have been the 81 of Brandon Matz. That was a big shot into the outside wall as the 2 slid around. The 78 of J.R. Miller, you saw he also got involved.
Just a big... we knew it was coming. They were not going to keep racing how they were during that run and not have something like that happen. That was an insane, super fun battle to watch throughout the middle of the pack. Everyone trying to get up there, but nobody agreeing on who they want to help get up there. You know, it was one of those deals. And you know, you don't go 5 wide on purpose. You know, there was probably some disagreement with somebody that was like, I don't want to push you, or I don't think I can push you up there, and then it causes 5 wide, which causes chaos. What a wild run we just saw.
Wild one indeed, and things are going to get even more wild now because we're going to have a restart with inside 5 to go. In fact, could potentially be a green-white checkered here. We'll have to see when we get the green flag back in the air, but up front, the veteran Ken McCullough Jr., can the captain bring victory back to McCullough Motorsports at PGR? We'll have to find out. Just behind him, though, is the 5 of Kevin Freeze. The 11 of Dylan Jones in 3rd with Matt Lee back in 4th. And rounding out the top 5 right now is the 21 of Joshua McCullough, another driver who had a lot of trouble here tonight, got involved in a couple different wrecks and a couple of big hits at that, but still found a way to get back in this race and now has a shot to win this thing here at the end. Everybody should be good to go on fuel here to the finish, but how things are going to sort out is what we will await to find out. We're going to take one more break here of the night, but again, we will go side by side so you don't miss a thing. Stick with us for the finish in the Intimidator Superspeedway Series.
I played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive, especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
Make you feel like you're really driving. It feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Green flag is in the air. We are racing.
Three by three.
Almost no trouble. Around goes Alex Hill. On into the outside wall goes Hill. They're wrecking big time out back. We're not going to throw a caution. Finish. Who gets it at the line? Cody Nagels wins it at Talladega.
Welcome back to Talladega Superspeedway. Coming to the conclusion here of tonight's action. And tell you what, 56 viewers, we certainly appreciate y'all tuning in. Hopefully that you have enjoyed so far and get ready for what is going to certainly be an exciting finish. It'll be a natural green-white checkered +1. 3 laps to go, and remember, we have got to make it to the white flag for this race to be official. Ken McCullough Jr., he has never found victory lane in PGR. Is tonight his night? Here we go. Green flag is back in the air. 3 laps to go, and it's a good restart for the 03 of Ken McCullough Jr. He'll get clear of the 5 of Kevin Freese right out of the gate. Doesn't look like he's going to jump down, though. He will stay up top for now. Matt Lee is going to quickly lock onto his back bumper, and now it becomes who can do the most pushing and who can save their temps. Lee's going to make the move down to the bottom. Ken McCullough Jr. waits for help from John Ward. They're 2x2 as they work their way onto the backstretch.
That was a super aggressive move by Matt Lee. Him moving down there left tire tracks on the track when he did that. Now we've got Kenny McCullough being pushed by John Ward and Dylan Jones. That's a good combo to have, but at the bottom we have Matt Lee, who looks like it's cleared Kenny McCullough. He's going to go to the top side. Kevin Freese and the 21 car, that is Joshua McCullough. So we've got 2 MMS. He gets split. Here comes Malik Ray and Kyler Wynn and Ryan Bates. This is about to get insane, Austin.
Yeah, there was friends earlier, but now it is every man for themselves. If you make a move up, you're not going to get a push if there's another lane available, but right now they get it back down to 2x2. Matt Lee leads the top. Kevin Freese on the bottom with pushing from Malik Ray and Kyler Wynn. Ken McCullough Jr., how much temps does he have left under the hood of that 03, and is it enough to get Matt Lee back out in front? The 04 goes around. He's going to collect the rest of the field. Well, actually, most of them hold on to it, but down low, this is a huge hit for the 04, and one more car. Is that Ken McCullough Jr.? Yes, it is. And it will be another race that the 03 gets so close to finding potentially victory lane or something sure close to it. Not going to happen tonight.
That's such a shame for Kenny McCullough. He has tried to get a victory in this series for years, and to have it end like that, I don't know what it was yet. I don't know if it was just a bad push, net code. I don't know what the deal was, but that is so sad to see that.
Let's watch it on replay here. I think it's just a case of too much pushing going on here, and yeah, that's exactly what it is here. You can see Ken McCullough Jr., he's just getting pushed through, and that's just getting him offset of Lee, and eventually it just gets the 04 round. And, you know, this all starts with further back, right? And so we've seen this a couple times here tonight. You can do a tandem with more than just 2 cars. You can get 3 or 4 cars together and push down the straights. The problem is, if any of those cars get offset, that line has to break apart. If it doesn't, what we just saw happen here is what can happen, and didn't mean to fast forward it here for you, but we'll back it up again. And so watch what happens here. Ken McCullough Jr., the 03, the black and white car, he's going to be the first car that gets out of shape. He lines Dylan Jones up for a push, or excuse me, Matt Lee, and as he starts pushing him here, he's going to get hit from John Ward. Now that push pushes Ken McCullough Jr. into the right side of Matt Lee, and that starts to get him offset. Now, as he's trying to kind of check up to let Matt Lee back in line, he's getting pushed through, just not able to really let that 04 get it straightened back out, and as a result, eventually Matt Lee is going to go around, and then the wreck is on from there. Watch this. You see the 03 traveling towards the inside wall. Big hit for Ken McCullough Jr., and then Matt Lee eventually slides to a stop. I don't think he actually took much damage. And from the initial view, Landon, boy, we thought this one collected the entire field, yet somehow it looks like it only collects 2 cars. I don't know how the rest of them missed that one.
I don't either. Because when I was watching it, it was on the back view of the field, and it was just smoke everywhere, and you see cars like sliding down the backstretch into the inside line, but it was still only 3 total cars involved in that. Matt Lee gets away basically fine. I mean, there's no damage. Kenny McCullough, his night's over with. I mean, John Ward got away as well, so I guess Kenny was the only casualty here out of that one. That is so unfortunate. I hate that we jinxed him, but I mean, it's the way that Kenny's run has been recently. He has had no luck at all in racing recently, the past like month, it seems like. And again, another good job by the field, everyone avoiding it. Malik Ray and Kyler Wynn, the instant they saw Matt Lee get turned, they went straight down the track. You can probably see that on the replay. They just within a split second saw that coming and missed it all.
And you can see Dylan's not actually pushing here, that 4th car line. It's just 3-car tandem, and it's just a tough spot. And, you know, for John Ward, he's trying to do everything he can to help these two, but that's a case of where I'm sure Ken McCullough Jr. is saying, man, you got to get off me. Just let me push him. That's a tough break either way. And, man, Ken McCullough Jr., it's, you know, you hate to say it. Obviously, we jinxed him. And then on top of that, you know, the car that wasn't even necessarily trying to cause a wreck here, he was just trying to get a good finish, ends up being the car that gets the worst of it. But glad to see Matt Lee get away with that one with no damage. You know, I know he lost his track position, but still going to have at least a chance, depending on how things play out. But now it will officially be overtime number 1 at that, and it is Kevin Freeze who's currently being scored as your leader now. Malik Ray in 2nd, Kyler went back in 3rd, Dylan Jones 4th, John Ward in 5th, Trevor Oswald 6th, Ethan Eckert in 7th, Ryan Bass back in 8th with David Sheets in 9th, and Mike Davenport rounds out your top 10. 2-lap shootout. We'll remind you of the rules real quick. Remember, they have got to make it to the white flag for this race to be official. If they get a caution on that first lap, we'll rack them up and try it again. We've got 3 total attempts at overtime. Hoping, though, that we don't have to use all 3. And now that you knock a couple of the potential underdog picks out of the way, who's your favorite now, Landon? Who you got up here?
I mean, I want to say Malik Ray, Kyler Wynn. I mean, they're in such a good spot. But looking back, 7th and 8th, Trevor Osroth, Ryan Bass. That is 2 of the Jack Shack cars. I think they're the only 2 that are left in this race. Based off what I'm looking at least in the top 10, there's 2 sets of teammates, and it's Trevor and Ryan and Malik and Kyler. So I feel like they're going to be working definitely pretty hard. Well, looking at this now, Malik and Kyler are lined up on the bottom. Trevor and Ryan are not. But if they can find a way to get linked up, that's definitely going to be advantageous for them. But I want to point this out as well. You don't look now, Ethan Eckert. We were just talking about him. There he is. He's in restarting. Looks like 5th or 6th right here. Here he is. Here he is. The kid is 14 years old. He is as talented as anyone else in here, probably more so talented. He finds his way every time. Like, sure, he might have caused a little bit of stuff tonight, but he has improved so much more from where he was. He used to be super aggressive, like way overly aggressive. Here he is. He's ran this race about as well as he can and finds his way into at least the top 5 to see if we can round out this race.
Quick reminder of what payouts we're generally looking like here tonight. This was based off of 60 entries. We came in a bit shy of that, so maybe a little bit less overall, but that's the general payout structure. And the way the race went tonight, we started with 2-lap qualifying, top 30 advanced, and then we had a heat race with a top 10 advanced from that. And here we are at the end of our feature. Again, Matthew Baker was the winner of the heat, but it looks like he is, again, not racing here in the feature, so may have just been racing that one for fun and doing some race control duties here for the feature. But all right, here we go, Landon. Crunch time. We've been waiting for it all night. Overtime. You wondered if it was going to be a possibility. Well, here we go. Malik Ray versus Kevin Freeze, two of the best to ever do it in super speedway racing. Who is going to get the job done? Kyler Wynn, he loves these cars. What can he do? Green flag is back in the air. 2 laps to go to decide it at Talladega, and it's a great restart from both lanes. Looks like Kevin Freeze maybe with a slight advantage, but the inside's a little bit more organized. Kevin might have to drop to the bottom to make a block. Now we start to question who is going to be the car that'll make that third lane work first. Still 2x2 through turns 1 and 2.
Still, yeah, 2x2. There's 3 wide in the back. We got contact in the back. We got one in the wall in the back. Looks like they keep it sorted out. Yeah, they're still going straight. Kevin Freeze, Dylan Jones, Ethan Eckert, Ryan Baste, and Mike Davenport leading the top 5 right now. We still got Malik Ray and Kyler Wynn and John Ward at the bottom. Those are strong, strong pushers at the bottom. Let's see if they can come back around and take the white.
Oh, man, they're getting really, really out of shape up top. That's going to break up the momentum and allow Kyler Wynn and Malik Ray to get this tandem working even more. The question is, do they all have enough temps to make it to the finish? Looks like we're going to do it. This race is official. White flag is in the air. 1 lap to go at Talladega.
Get ready. Ethan Eckert is going to make a hole, even if there's not one. He's going to find his way to the win. He's got Ryan Bates behind him. He's still got Mike Davenport behind him. This is going to be super, super tight. Let's see what Ethan does here. There's a gap in the middle. He's not going to take it. He's going to sit in line. We still got Kevin Freeze getting a gap on Dylan Jones. Dylan Jones might be backing up to Ethan's bumper, see if he can make a run at the bottom. Nothing into 3 yet. There goes Ethan Eckert to the middle.
Final time through 3 and 4. Eckert's looking, nothing to be found in the middle. He'll have to duck back in line. Wynn and Malik still on the bottom. Kevin and Jones up top. Final time off of turn number 4. Does anybody have anything to jump out of line? Malik's looking for one more big push from Kyler on the bottom. Kevin and Jones still have it up top. Kevin Freeze will return to victory lane at Talladega.
What a clean finish. I did not see that coming. That was a very clean finish considering how the rest of this race went.
A clean finish and a great win for Kevin Freeze. And I don't know if he's still got the title or not after a break, but for a while he was PGR's most winning driver, and he will add another one to the list now. And he is going to be thanking Dylan Jones in the interviews, I bet, for that one. He stayed very, very loyal, patient, and boy, it paid off for both drivers as Jones brings home a podium finish himself. But it's Kevin Freeze, the man of the hour, as he gets the job done in overtime.
Very impressive win for Kevin Freeze. That's me personally, speaking as a driver in this series, I haven't raced with him much, but every time that I have, he's one of those that's always up front, but it seems like kind of forgotten about. Like he's always there, but it's like something always happens to him, and he's like just quietly there. But tonight, he goes out and wins the Intimidator Superspeedway Series race.
Yes, he does, and while he burns it down and celebrates in front of the sold-out virtual crowd, we'll take a look at tonight's finishing results. That was for the heat race. So we bring up your feature, though. Again, it was Kevin Freeze, your race winner. Official margin of victory, 4/100ths of a second over Malik Ray, who brings home second. Dylan Jones rounds out the podium in third. Kyler Wynn, fourth. John Ward in fifth, and Ethan Eckert 2 weeks in a row cashing out. Tonight he brings home a 6th-place finish. Ryan Baste back in 7th with Jeff Merck in 8th. Joshua McCullough in 9th, and Mike Davenport rounds out your top 10.
Got the 06 of David Sheets, who was in a wreck earlier, came back from his damage. He'll finish 11th tonight. Brian Hennings will be 12th for Team PGR. Freddie Bazinez will be 13th. Trevin Osbornoth for the Jack Shack will be 14th. Michael Triscaro for PGR and Tyler Vickery will be 15th and 16th. Nash Brambilla for PGR as well will finish 17th. Parker Retzloff, NASCAR Xfinity Series driver, finishes 18th in his PGR debut. Mike George, 19th, and Sam King will finish 20th.
Matt Lee finishes 21st. Tucker McClendon 22nd. Brock Westermelin in 23rd. Noah Rainwater in 24th. Brandon Matson 25th with Aaron Ramon in 26th. Sean Futrell 27th. Jonathan Herbert in 28th. And rounding out your top 30 tonight is Francisco Villarreal in 29th and Austin B. Floyd in 30th.
A tough finish for Kenny McCullough, who rounds out tonight's race in 31st, 6 laps down. J.R. Miller will be 32nd. Steven Scott Jr., 33rd. Justin Mills, who had quite a race tonight, was involved in a lot, it seemed like. He'll finish 35th. Looks like Mark Von Dell for McCullough Motorsports, 36th. Chris Walker for the Jack Shack, 37th. Larry McDonald, 38th. Steve Sizemore, 39th. And Matthew Stallnecht will be 40th.
All right, with that, we are going to go see if we can get your top 3 in here for interviews. Stick with us. We'll be right back at Talladega. All right, welcome back to Talladega Superspeedway. Going to start tonight with your third place finisher, Dylan Jones. Dylan, this is Austin in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, another good finish. You bring home a podium and quite a bit of money to go with it. But, man, overall, crazy night, but a clean finish. What was going through your head for that final restart? Was the plan to stick with Freeze all the way to the end?
Yeah. I mean, unless another opportunity came up, but no one really had a lot of momentum. We were able to keep the engines cool enough, and you can almost kind of tandem away there. It really didn't get hot until coming to the white, and then it was kind of who could manage the temps to push down the front straightaway the best.
Well, I'll tell you what, with these Gen 6 cars, we've seen it a couple times now, and it seems like it's always just a completely different style of racing and the way you have to kind of manage track position through this race to have a chance at the end. And through your viewpoint, did you have to do anything that you felt like was really different than you do when we're saying the Xfinity or trucks?
Yeah, don't move out of the line unless you're going from the top or the bottom. Stay out of the middle at any cost whatsoever, because you're going to dead last instantly. So you kind of got to pick your battles on when you're trying to move lines, and you really need track position. You can't sit around.
Well, you picked your battles right tonight, and it certainly paid off with that third place finish. So before we let you head out to celebrate, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Just thanks all the guys up front. Nice clean finish, always good in a money race. And thank you, Austin, for putting on the broadcast. We'll check it out. And thank Triscaro and everyone at PGR for letting us run this stuff every Thursday.
Thank you for talking to us. Well, again, Dylan, congrats on that third place finish, and hopefully we'll see you out here again next week.
Yes, sir.
All right, and now that is going to bring us to your second place finisher, Malik Ray. Landon Velicky stands by with him.
Malik, Landon in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. How you doing, man?
I'm good. I wish I was out there racing tonight a little bit, but as crazy as that one was, it was definitely fun to watch. I want you to tell me about your race. How did you go? You were involved in a crash. How did you find your way back to the front?
I was able to work with Kyler. I was working with Matthew T. Lee there a bit, heading through the pack, and I just tried to make smart decisions and never end up on the bottom. Yeah, I know sometimes I had to go to the bottom because I had a big run, but outside of that, I mean, I just tried to make smart decisions, and it paid off for me.
Well, it definitely did pay off for you. My question to you is this: having raced with you a lot before, you're always, no matter what happens to you, you always end up back at the front. How do you do that every race, it seems like, especially in the PGR races?
I just feel like I have a good sense of like situational awareness and stuff like that. Like, I know who's a good pusher. I know who's not a good pusher. I know who can lead. I know who doesn't know what they're doing and stuff like that. And I kind of just base my moves off of like the people that are like around me. And I just try to go with the same people that are like up front all the time. And they always seem to lead me, like in the right direction. So.
Well, that is true. You did a great job of doing that tonight. Before you go away, is there anyone you want to thank, shout out?
I appreciate you guys for broadcasting, and Matthew T. Lee, and John Ward on the white flag, and Kyler. I appreciate all those guys because they helped me get back up front. So thank you guys.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
All right. Thank you, man.
All right, and now that will bring us to tonight's race winner, Kevin Freeze. Kevin, this is Austin in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, Austin, how you doing tonight?
Good. Well, it's been a little while, but some things never change. It did not take you long to get it figured out and find victory lane again here tonight. I mean, overall, you looked good through most of the race, but a couple accidents midway through. You found your way back to the front, and how'd you hold on to it right there at the end?
A lot of help from Dylan there. Dylan was working really great with me when I was pushing Kenny through that. Towards the end of that race, we were pushing Kenny up top, and we were putting together some really good laps. And then we just worked together there at the end. I thought about how I was going to line up for that restart, and I just thought, because Malik and Kyler were working together, so I thought that if I split them up and one managed to get clear, I lose a little bit of control. So I decided to let them line up on the bottom, and I knew I had Dylan who was going to stay with me there. I just told him, I'm like, don't screw yourself. I messaged him, like, take care of yourself, but I think we can do pretty all right. And thank God it all worked out, and these cars are a blast.
Certainly a lot of fun to watch as well. But, I know you've still been doing a lot of super speedway racing in general, but it's been a little while since you've been in one of the PGR races. And boy, what a car to come back in. Was there anything that you noticed that was really different, and did you have to make any adjustments here tonight?
No, this is like this and Next Gen are two of my favorite cars that we rotate. I wish we ran more of these in Next Gen or the race that's coming up in 2 weeks, the Xfinity car at Atlanta, because I think that it puts a lot more back in the driver's hands where you can make a difference on how you're running in that race. It's not all, no race is all chance, but there's less chance when you drive some of these cars that you really have to be calculated with. So I was pretty happy to see that we were running these tonight.
Well, to round out a great finish here tonight, before we let you head out, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, thank you to you and Landon for the broadcast. It sounds like you have a new mic because, man, you sound like a new man on that thing. Thank you to all the admins at PGR, Mike and Baker, for the work they do, especially rewriting a rule book that hopefully will keep our racing clean. I think we saw a little bit of an improvement tonight, and hopefully we can keep it rolling. Thank you to the drivers, and thank you again to Dylan.
Thank you for talking to us. Well, again, congrats on the win here tonight, Kevin. Hopefully we'll see you back again next week.
Yep. Thank you, guys. Enjoy the night.
All right. Well, that's just about going to round out our coverage here tonight from Talladega. But before we officially end things, I mean, man, what a great race it was. Kevin Freese, again, returning to victory lane after a bit of a break, but he certainly didn't look like he had much rust to knock off. And we saw quite a bit of chaos through most of the race, but a clean finish. What more can you ask for at the end of this thing?
There's nothing more you can ask for. That was a super exciting race to watch. Sure, there was a little bit of a wreck fest, but the racing that we did actually see was super, super fun to watch. So just watching the runs build and watching the crazy moves, people trying to get to where they want to be, and someone wants to be there too, and that's just, all the crazy racing that happens with it. It was a super fun race to watch, super fun one to help commentate with you. I'm very glad I did this. Congrats to Kevin Freese, of course, for after a little hiatus he took, he comes back and wins the PGR race tonight. Very impressive.
Well, I want to thank you, of course, for joining me here tonight, Landon. We certainly appreciate you. Did a phenomenal job, and I want to thank everybody that tuned in. We appreciate it. I hope that you all enjoyed. That'll do it tonight for me, Austin Green, alongside Landon Veliky on PGR eSports. Until next time, have a good night.